37 days until the Eagles report to training camp, 50 days until the Hall of Fame game between Arizona and Carolina in Canton, Ohio. Man, where did the offseason go? By the way, I will say this about the sports calendar. I watched Messi last night, 3 goals, incredible at 38. And you got Cristiano Ronaldo going tonight. You've got the United States Open golf this weekend with Father's Day wrapped around the corner. And you got a ton of NFL news as we're getting ready for the start of the NFL season, plus college football. And I don't care what my boy says. The Philadelphia Eagles will give up that 4th-round pick for Brendan Sorsby. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, but appreciate all of you coming aboard. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button. Thank you again. You guys are awesome coming aboard. So many other places that you can go, and many of you choose this show every single day to come here and talk some sports with us. Whether you like it, what you hear or not, you're here every day, and we can't thank you enough. Good and bad. That's why I'm indifferent to some of it. I don't care. I'm going to give you an easy E mentality. I don't give a shit if you like me or not. As long as you're here every day, you're buying it, and you're here. So, all good. And thank you for being here. Hit that like button. I can't believe it. By the way, I just told Zander, this is the easiest football team to cover. There's no doubt. This is the easiest football team I've ever seen when it comes to pro football and covering pro football. I mean, every single day, there's something here to it. Now, I was reading the Jeff McClain story from the Philadelphia Inquirer. And here, we'll start it out here with this. So at the end of the day, Jeffrey Lurie's son, Julian Lurie, is now in the building every single day. And there is now a transition going on. I'm not suggesting to you from reading that article that Jeffrey Lurie's stepping down in any way, but there's no doubt there's a transition taken on. And there's no doubt that there's a transition going on. Okay? That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the same old Eagles. Now, I don't know when that's going to be, but obviously you could see it starting. Hey, how do you think Jeannie Buss has done with the Lakers? How do you think Hal Steinbrenner has done with the Yankees? How well do you think they've done? Not very well. It's not Dr. Buss, and it's not George Steinbrenner. Okay? No way will we keep 4 quarterback. Who's the odd man out? I would happen to say, and I appreciate it, thank you very much, Tanner McKee. McKee will be traded. They'll be traded. And by the way, Sorsby won't be ready to take over for Jalen Hurts until next year. Oh, and by the way, one thing I want to make clear, just because we have a guest that disagrees with me, that doesn't make us change our opinion on what's going to happen. I agree with Zander. I think that Jason Cole take was a little bit old school. Crosby to Philly is heating up. Is that true, Sills? Listen, I believe there's no doubt that Howie Roseman has called the Raiders. He calls about everybody. Okay? He calls about everybody. Why wouldn't he call about Max Crosby? If you're the Raiders, you're not getting a first-round draft pick for that guy ever in a million years. All right. 3:30, the legend, Angelo Cataldi will join us. Battle Royale will be with us at 4:30, and then at 5 o'clock, we will get Big Z on and get his takes on what we're talking about here today. Appreciate it, too. Thank you. So, hit that like button. Super chats go to the top. I'll say this to you. Jeffrey Lurie's kid, Julian, going through a transition, I don't know that's a good thing. To sit there and say that the Eagles are going to be well run and they're going to be like the Steelers, I think it's a stretch. And what does that mean for Howie Roseman as you go forward with Julian and the more involved he gets? Maybe some of the decision-making Jeffrey Lurie's kid has been involved in when it comes to some of these hirings and some of these coaches. You're right, RC. It could be better. It could be. And here, Big Sills, Carter's asking for $42 million. You think the price is too high? Yeah. Absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. So, let's go to RC3. Let's think about that when a kid took over for a football team. And did the football team get better? Eddie DeBartolo Jr. took over for the old man. 49ers got better, right? They won 5 Super Bowls. Okay? That's a good place. By the way, Dallas Cowboys are going to be going through this with Stephen Jones. Stephen's the heir apparent to Jerry Jones. Will that be better? We'll see. As I mentioned, Jeannie Buss has not run the team like her father. Hal Steinbrenner has not run the Yankees like George Steinbrenner. Name me a place outside of DeBartolo where the team got better. Art Rooney Sr., I don't see the same success in Pittsburgh since he's passed away. Wellington Mayer, John Maher, maybe a little bit. When Wellington was alive, they had those great years with the Lawrence Taylor teams. Probably the same with John and with his own man. Okay? But, again, not really the success you see from when the father owned the team. That's going to be an interesting conversation as you go forward. What will the Eagles look like in 7 years? Big Sills, you think Howie could run the team? Howie does run the team. Okay? Let's see here. And we'll get to this Sorsby thing here. Keep telling yourself, Jalenite. Don't start with me today, Sills. Good afternoon to all my super chat counters wondering if I should call, make y'all count today. Or before Mark comes on, I won't support that segment. Marshall. Cowboys are winning the NFC East this year, Marsh. How you doing? How you doing? Brandon Sorsby, the new starting quarterback for your Philadelphia Eagles in 2027. You bet. All right, let's get into the main topics now. Okay? So, we're going to start, Marsh, with maybe a topic you'd be surprised about. It is not Jalen Hurts. Okay? It's Saquon Barkley. Why will this be also Saquon Barkley's last year? Anybody know? Why will 2026 be Saquon Barkley's final season? Does anyone know? Come on. Look at Rasputin. Only $2.5 million is owed to him in 2026. Get this guy. This guy just said too much money. Too much money. Only $2.5 million is guaranteed. What do you mean too much money? Are you under the impression the Eagles owe him a ton of money next year? They don't. There's only $2.5 million guaranteed. Okay? Or 2.7 guaranteed next year. That's it. And you're talking about a guy approaching 30. Think about that. You're going to be looking at potentially moving on also from Saquon Barkley. if Barkley doesn't produce this coming season. How's that for you? $2.5 million is all that's owed to him next year. You talk about moving on. Okay? You're not obligated to Barkley after this year. You could cut that dude. You could cut him and be okay. Okay? Sills, I didn't know that. I agree with that take. I think they may trade him. There you go, Marsh. They may trade his ass. You talk about a guy, we sit around here and we talk about Jalen Hurts having to have a big year. And we talk about the $20 million that's owed to Hurts. The guy with the bigger refrigerator on his back going into 2026 is Saquon Barkley. They owe him no money next year. Zero money. 2.5. They could easily get rid of this guy. If Barkley doesn't have a bounce back year, Saquon Barkley will not be a Philadelphia Eagle in 2027. So let me put this out there to you. I think there's a better chance that Hurts is an Eagle in 2027 than Saquon Barkley. If Barkley doesn't, let's go here. If Saquon Barkley doesn't even hit 1,400, 1,500 yards, they still may get rid of him. You got rid of Miles Sanders, who ran for 1,300 yards. What if Barkley wins the rushing title? If Barkley wins the rushing title at 30 years old, then you have a big-time decision to make. Do you give that guy a 2-year contract knowing full well that he'll never be the same player at 31, 32? He ain't Derrick Henry. You would give that money to Derrick Henry. I would still move on. The biggest thing that the New England Patriots did every single year, was they knew when to move on. Restructure? So wait a minute. Are you going to give a 31-year-old running back or a 30-year-old running back a 2-year contract extension at $20 million? And then you're going to turn around and give your quarterback a $60 million deal? And then you got to pay all those defensive guys. Someone's going, guys. How are you paying all these guys? You're already backloaded on these void years. Holy shit. Hey, guys, get this. He ain't winning no Russian title. Sills, if Barkley wins the rushing title, we'll just get more on the trade. I want to work this like Belichick. Get him gone with the tread on the tire and get the most of return. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Oh, so now Lane's gone too. So Barkley, Lane, AJ in the last 2 years. And you think you're going to be look at the transition you're going through and the next 2 years. Barkley will be gone. Lane will be gone. AJ Brown will be gone. In the next 2 years. Barkley, Lane, and AJ. How in God's name are you the same team? Goddard too. That's right. And Goddard. You think Bigsby gets more involvement? Potentially. It's all part of the plan to shift money to the defensive side. It started with AJ. Next is Lane, Goddard, Dickerson, Barkley. If he wins the rushing title, we could get a massive return. I am 1,000% behind what Marshall's saying here. I am 1,000%. No question. That's exactly what I think they would do. Yes. Plus, then that 28 pick looks pretty decent if you're sending a rushing title away. Look at this. Won't miss a beat. Well, you did a year ago. Hey, you're not going to miss a beat without AJ. Yeah, okay. Because why? Mac Knife Lemon is here. Hey, Mac Knife Lemon. Bigsby's the only quality cutback running back on the team, contrary to J-Mac. He'll get snaps. Still $2.5 million if they cut him, but they keep next year. But if they keep him next year, he's owed $14.5. That $12 million is added to Coop's deal. That's right. They're not paying that guy $15 million next year. They're not keeping that guy at that money, Bob. This is Saquon Barkley's final season as an Eagle. Bob, do you agree with that? That this is Saquon Barkley's last year. He's owed $2.5 million. And if that guy doesn't get back to being the money he's making is too much. He's not a $15 million back. He's not Derrick Henry. And it's proving out. Saquon Barkley is not Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's going to go for 1,500 yards again. Okay? He's going to go for 1,500 yards again. Let Sills tell it the Eagles will have 0 players on their roster in 27. Okay, well, let's go down this list because this guy is being an asshole here. Well, Lane's gone. Barkley will be gone. Goddard will be gone. AJ's already gone. No. You won't have the big names on your team any longer. I love it. It's new uncharted territory. These players won't be here forever. That's why you never fall in love with players. You fall in love with your team. Seals, honestly, I love Barkley, but I really want to see the Birds go back to a 3-headed backfield like when they had Ajayi, Blunt, and Clement. See here. Let's go to one of the dumbest people in the chat. In 25 years, you'll have a totally different team. Why change? In 25 years? You mean in 25 minutes? Again, you're going to not have these same players on your football team that you had during the Super Bowl run. It's over, fuckbag. Sills, you act like this is a hot take. No, it's not a hot take. This is no different. See this right here? You act like this is a hot take. It's no different than any other team. If players are at the end of their contracts and they don't perform, of course, they don't get re-signed. Howie has a plan always. So wait a minute here. This is what Jay's saying to you. They're no different than the other team. You are different than the Jets. Jay, you don't think you're different than the Jets? You don't think you're different? If the Jets change their personnel out versus you changing your personnel out, you think that's the same? Do you think that's the same? Every other team? You mean like the Titans? The Cardinals? Those guys? Why in God's name are you sitting there comparing Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson and Barkley to anything the Jets have? You're not like every other team. The last 4 years, you've won 50 games. You're not like any other team. That makes no sense. It's a dumb process of thinking. Then again, listen, I've learned one thing over the last couple of years here. Many of you don't know how the NFL works. You think you do. Sales, it's not a hot take. It's just an unpopular take. Because the wholesale changes that are coming could make for an ugly season or two. It's an unpopular take. Yeah. That's correct. Very well done, Bob. Bob gets it. Bob sees the game. Very good, Bob. There's a bunch of people in here that get it. And there's a lot of people that are with eagle colored glasses, which is fine. That's your fandom. Not a doubt. It's okay. Howie always has a plan. Rarely does he ever just say, okay, there goes our players. Well, here, Jay, you're right. But that's not why you're consistent winning Super Bowls. That's why you have these gaps in the middle. You won one, 9 years ago? You got one. You went to another. You went to 3 Super Bowls inside of the last decade. That's pretty good. That's 30%, right? In the last decade, you went to 30% of the Super Bowls. You went to 3 of them. And you won 2 of them. And you won 20% of the Super Bowls. That's very good. But you're not quite Kansas City. And you clearly aren't like New England. Those organizations win Super Bowls in consecutive years. Once again, this is why you have these gaps. Because now you're going to rebuild the football team again. You know why you're rebuilding the football team? Because you never got the quarterback right for an extended period of time. What separate here, this is really a great topic. What separates the Philadelphia Eagles from Kansas City and New England? They had a quarterback in there that went past 10 years. You never had the quarterback for a long period of time. You had Foles for a moment, and you got Hurts for a couple of years. You never really had the quarterback sustain it when you're going through transition. Remember something. Tom Brady won Super Bowls in the beginning of his career. He didn't win one for another 10 years. Well, they kept him in it. They kept going to some of them. And why was that? Well, Brady was the difference. The quarterback was the difference, just like in Kansas City. Okay? And by the way, this is why they're beginning the process of moving on from him. As much as you don't want to hear that, they're beginning the process of moving on from him. Yeah, that's right. That's the point. You don't have a franchise quarterback. Yeah, you don't have a franchise quarterback. You just don't. You've had really good football players play in those moments, but you've never had a franchise guy that keeps you in the conversation. That's why you don't win like New England and Kansas City, but that's okay. Not everybody does. That's why the Rams are in the conversation every year. They got a franchise quarterback. The only problem with the Rams, they got that guy late in his career. And again, this is why the process is beginning on moving on from Jalen. Okay? Name the 10 quarterbacks you have in front of Hurts. Bro, I can name 15. I can name negative Nancy Barkley. That's not what I said. Derrick Henry. He's not Derrick Henry. But also the Eagles are screwed because he won't be here. Double negative. Guys, how many people believe with $2.5 million owed to Saquon Barkley next year that you're going to give him and keep a guy with $14 to $15 million. Do you think Saquon Barkley is a $15 million player going into this year? Yes or no? What do you think? Do you believe that Saquon Barkley is a $15 million ball player heading into this year, that you're going to extend, you're going to play him next year? Do you believe that? They need him, but they need him to be that, but I don't know. Probably not. I was talking about Barkley yesterday. Guy, the fuck are you talking about? Sills, it's not 2.45 owed. It's 2.5 million escape. It's 14.5 owed if we keep him. Yeah. If you move off of him, you can get out of the room with 2.5 million because that's all that's guaranteed to him. Barkley will have no value after this year. The Eagles will lean on him after they realize this shit ain't working. Okay? What happens whether Hurts gets an extension or not? The Eagles will continue to be one of the top 5 or 6 winning teams in the NFL each year. Howie's a genius, best GM in NFL by far. I don't know by far. He's not as accomplished as John Schneider or Brett Veach, but I put him in that top 3 room. You could say he is, dude. He ain't got more Super Bowls than Schneider and Veach. Shit, for that record, he doesn't have any more than Nick Sirianni down in Houston. I think he does a wonderful job, and he is one of the top guys. Every year, I think that changes. Les Snead has done a spectacular job in Los Angeles with the Rams. But where are you coming up with this, with the hardware, that you think he's got more championships than John Schneider? Where did you see that? And John Schneider's done it with 2 different ownerships. Think about that for a minute. He don't have Jeffrey Lurie out in Seattle. He's got 2 different ownerships that he's done that with. Seals, you can 100 quarterbacks better than Jalen Hurts. As a matter of fact, you can 20 high school quarterbacks better than Jalen. Just another Chris S. You hate the man for no reason. Dude, you can win a Super Bowl without an elite guy. It's not hate. Those guys don't have long windows. Don't get upset with that. Still, there's probably only 4 or 5 legit franchise quarterbacks. Stafford, Mahomes, Allen, Dak, and maybe Herbert. I think you throw Burrow in there. Howie is our trump card that covers the gap left by Hurts' talent. That's agreed. Still, the only way Barkley stays is if he pulls a CMC double 1K season. That would show his value in the passing game. If he wins the rushing title, that would mean the West Coast offense switch failed. That's another great take. Hurts on the list with Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, basic quarterbacks who won a Super Bowl. I agree. And the Plunkett's of the world and the Dilfers and the Brad Johnsons and the Nick Foleses, I completely agree. Dude, quarterbacks like that win Super Bowls. In today's game, Sills, if the quarterback isn't elite, you won't win a Super Bowl. Defenses are too. So then you must really think that Sam Darnold's elite. Is that it, RC? You think Sam Darnold's elite as a player? Do you really think that? Huh. I never looked at Sam Darnold as being elite. PSA to all Jalenites. All Hurts has to do is have a great year and shut everyone up. Why are none of the Jalenites confident that he'll have a great year? Let's see here. Better quarterbacks than Hurts. Allen, Burrow, Mahomes, Lamar, Stafford, Dak, Herbert, Goff, May, Caleb, Purdy, Love. That's just to name a few. Darnold is elite, surrounded by a good team. So now Sam Darnold's elite. A guy who's been on. Wait, hey, do me a favor, Kyle. What year was Sam Darnold drafted? RC now says that Sam Darnold's elite. Hang on. You know why? It's to justify Hurts. 2018. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. That's 9 years. 5 teams in 9 years. RC3 is telling you that a guy who's been on a team, 5 teams in 9 years, is elite. 5 teams in 9 years. Sam Darnold is elite. So according to this guy, Sam Darnold is an elite player who's been on 5 different football teams in 9 years. Every other year, Sam Darnold's been in the league. He's been on a different football team. Sometimes it takes time and 5 different teams. How many franchise quarterbacks do you ever remember being on 5 fucking football teams in 9 years and you called them elite? This is just to quantify Hurts as being elite. Every other year, Sam Darnold was in on a different team. And RC3 says because Darnold won a Super Bowl, he's an elite player. Every story is different. Name me one quarterback who you considered elite in NFL history that was on 5 teams in 9 years before you called him elite. Aaron Rodgers was on the Green Bay Packers for 17 years. 17 years. Wow. That's all you need to know about RC. That's the mentality he has. That, and get that, you know what it is? It's to justify Hurts. There, it's a prime example of it. Sills, you think in 2026, Sills, you think in 2016 draft, you think the outcome would have been different if Wentz went to the Rams and Golf and came to Philly? No. I think some quarterbacks, Kyle, I think some quarterbacks have big careers. Some people have short careers. Okay? I do. Jalen Hurts, not elite, but a good quarterback. Correct. They will put down their own mother and father to boost bottom 5 Hurts. That's correct. Watch, here's another guy. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott. DEI quarterbacks that don't belong in the conversation with Hurts. They're not on his level. I'm not even going to debate that. Those places aren't talking to replacing their quarterback, only in Philly. That is so fucked up. I'm going to start going to the Jalenites, and I want to show you what delusional is. Okay? Sam Darnold makes the Seahawks a contender, which makes him elite. Quarterback that's been 5 teams in 9 years. He's an elite quarterback. Well, then, hell, I'm going to go get Mac Jones. He'll make me a contender, too. Wow. Steals 5 teams in 9 years means he has above-average skills. When players with above-average skills are matched with the right OC and scheme, they can produce great results, even championships. Well, Bob, that's my point. If Jalen Hurts went to the Jets, he would be a losing quarterback. Guys, how many wins would Jalen Hurts have if he went to the Jets or the Bengals? 4? 5? How many wins do you think he'd have if he went to the Jets? 3? 4? 1? Get this. RC said that's every quarterback. No shit. Organizations are responsible for building a roster around the quarterback to give him the best chance to win. Correct. It happens to be where you're drafted. No doubt. That's like that one idiot earlier that said every team goes through it. That's not true. You think if you go to the Jets, you're going to win a Super Bowl? Or the Bengals? You can't make this shit up with some of you people. Calling Darnold and Hurts elite is disrespectful to the guys like Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Darnold, and on the Bills. He'd win 4 games. Darnold on the Bills would win 4 games. Correct. If Hurts was on last year's Pats, he'd win 6 games. Look, I'm going to go to a lot of the Jalenites today. Since 2022, leaders in total, there it goes with that fucking run game bullshit. The run game has never really been an issue in Philadelphia the last couple of years. It's been the passing game. Always adding those stupid rushing touchdowns that don't do shit in a ball game when you have to throw your team out of trouble. Where was that great running quarterback a year ago? Give me a break. The total touchdowns. How many years have they not built around Josh Allen and Joe Burrow? I don't know. How about the history of the franchises? Dude, look at these Jalenites. Ask yourself, hey, I'll show you something, guys. See M. Reyes' take here? Watch this. Let's see. What year did Allen go? Allen get drafted by the Bills. So he got drafted in 2018. Let's take a look at what the Bills were before Allen showed up and carried that franchise on his back. Let's take a look at that year to year. Here we go. So Josh Allen got to the Bills in 2000, I believe, in 18. So let's take a look at that. First year, he was a rookie in 18. Since then, 19, 10-6, 13-3, 11-6, 13-3, 11-6, 13-4, and 12-5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The previous 8 years in Buffalo, 6-10, 7-9, 8-8, 9-7, 6-10, 6-10, 6-10, 4-12. And if you want to go further, 4-12, 6-10, 7-9, 7-9, 7-9, 5-11, 6-10, 3-13. In the last 20 years, how many years is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. In the last 20 years before Allen showed up, how many winning seasons they have? 1, 2, 3. And since he showed up, they've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 plus win seasons in a row. Don't talk to me about going to franchises and a guy changing and turning one around. Prior to Josh Allen showing up, the Buffalo Bills were a shit show. A total shit show. That guy's completely changed the franchise around by himself. Once again, it matters where you go. And still no titles. No shit. Are you under the illusion or delusion that Buffalo is a well-run organization? Based on what? Buffalo's not a well-run organization. Josh Allen exceeds their incompetence. Who in God's name is their GM? Brandon Beane? You guys glaze Howie on being the best general manager in all of football. Many of these elite quarterbacks go to shitholes. Just like Myles Garrett goes to shitholes. You never get it. It's okay. It's because you're incompetent when it comes to understanding that. By the way, you see this? This is not debatable, man. I mean, I'm not debating with a lowbrow thinking fucking fool that thinks that fucking Josh Allen is not superior than your chicken arm quarterback. It's absurd, man. These are not debatable comments, and nor am I going to engage in them. They're just stupid. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. It's absurd. Sills, I'm a super Hurts fan. Like I've stated multiple times, but despite other Hurts fans, I don't get caught up if he's a lead or not. I'm just glad he won here and he brought a chip. That's a absolutely true take. Absolutely true. Absolutely. Get this. If you're let me ask you this. Hey, Bob, let's do some brain cells in here. Have some good, smart people in here. Do you think that Matthew Stafford going from get this, do you think Matthew Stafford, who was the general manager? Who was the general manager in Detroit? What GM in Detroit? What GM drafted Matthew Stafford? Martin Mayhew. Okay? Martin Mayhew. So let me ask you this. Martin Mayhew drafted Matthew Stafford. He goes to Los Angeles with Les Snead. And let's see what his record has been since he's been in Los Angeles. This is like talking to children, some of them. Not all of you. Like children. Here we go. All right. So since Matthew Stafford, Rams year to year, we'll go there. Rams year to year. Here we go. So since Matthew Stafford has been in Los Angeles, 12-5, they had that awful year of 5-12, 10-7, 10-7, 12-5. They've been to the playoffs and Super Bowl, won it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 4 of the 5 years they've been as far as the Super Bowl. And lost in the wild card in 23. Let's see what he did when he was in Detroit, when he was with the Lions. How many playoffs he went to. My point is, it matters where you are with general managers and front offices. So Stafford was here. Stafford went to the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In his 12 years in Detroit, he went to the playoffs twice. Since he's been in Los Angeles, he's won a Super Bowl in 4 of the 5. He's been to the playoffs. Do you think being in a good organization matters or no? And no matter where you go, you're supposed to be that guy? Jesus criminy. Complete idiotic takes. Hurts had 12 rushing touchdowns and had a 60% completion rate if you take away the AJ targets in the wild card game. But sure, blame it on AJ. Of course, don't blame it on AJ. If Allen was in Philadelphia and Hurts in Buffalo, we'd be working on the 4th Super Bowl, and Hurts would be leading the Toronto Argonauts to the CFL. Mikey, I missed a couple of your supers. Let me see here. Go back here. How the F is Allen at fault for a journeyman receiver not holding on to the ball on the way down to the ground? You idiots are crazy. Holy crap. I believe he had another one, he says. So here, hold on. Want to make sure we get them all. Make sure we get them all here. Here we go, Mikey. Hurts is a good quarterback in a perfect situation. Elite quarterbacks made bad situations look good. It's not arguable. It's a fact. Man, they'll make every single you know what? You know what's funny is that they'll say that Allen gets an excuse, but Hurts doesn't for getting Kevin Patullo fired. How many coordinators has he gotten fired? He's gotten 3 fired now. He got Brian Johnson fired. If we're going to go by your mentality, he got Brian Johnson fired. He got Kevin Patullo fired. Who else did he get fired? You got somebody else fired. Who else? Brian Johnson, Kevin Patullo. Oh, you got 2 guys fired. Yeah. Basically, you got Nick fired. So some GMs have learned how to build a team. Drafting a skilled player at the top of the draft is easy. The NFL favors the losing teams. Finding the supporting players to complement is hard. Correct. Yes. Brainwash people here, huh? Stills is pretty good at his job, but remember, people use your brains. He's got an agenda here. I have no agenda whatsoever. I don't give a shit either way. I don't give a shit if the guy turns into a superstar or a guy doesn't. I only talk about what's going on. Got me wrong, dude. An agenda? Like, you're taking me for being smarter than I'm not. I don't look down the road for a topic 5 months from now. That's for other people. You must be a guy that's an agenda-ridden person. Only agenda people talk like that. O-line was playing through injuries all of 24. 700-plus rushing plays. Then when they needed Jalen to run the ball and run in 25, he slid or ran out of bounds for 0 negative yards. Hurts got defensive coordinators promoted. See here. Let's see here. Sills hates on Jalen. Some women choose close to him must think Jalen is a real man. Good take there, kid. Well placed. KP got himself fired. No, he didn't. There's a reason why every single defense knew what was coming based on the alignment. They knew in 24 what was coming. You ran 5 plays. The difference in 24, you couldn't stop it. That's like saying, get this. You mean to tell me you don't know Mike Tyson's going to throw a right hand? You didn't know Mike Tyson was going to throw a right hand? The difference was when Tyson got older, people could stop it. Sills, it's crazy how people talk shit about Stafford not winning in Detroit. But who did he have on that team outside of Megatron? Sue, Cliff, Arvil, and Van Den. Like I said, what are you trying to say? He didn't have 1,000-yard rusher in the entire time he was ever in there, except for Reggie Bush 1 year. Let me take a look at that. Detroit. Let's take a look at that. And see who the leading rushers were when he was there. Peterson. Adrian Peterson was in Detroit. He had 600 yards. Let's see. Johnson. K-Ron Johnson. He had 181 yards rushing, or 640 yards rushing. Prior to that, Johnson again. He had 403. Let's go down the line. He had Abdul in 17. What do you have? 552 yards rushing. Let's take a look at this. This guy hasn't had a running back over 600 yards yet. How about Bell? Shirley Bell. This guy had 860. There you go. Now we're getting higher. Let's see. Who else? 13. Reggie Bush. I believe Reggie Bush had 1,000 yards this year. 2000. Yep. He had 106. We had 106. Prior to that, Mike LeShore. 700 yards. In his 13 years, he had one 1,000-yard rusher. How do you think they built the team? Sills, this season is a win-win for Hurts truthers. Either does the biggest individual turnaround in history, which I'm hoping for, or we get to say, I told you so to the Jalenites looking stupid. Oh, absolutely. Brian Johnson wasn't safe after a 10-1 start. Every OC getting blamed unless they win the Super Bowl. Here's something to think about, too. By the way, Barkley with the $2.5 million? Man. Whew. All right. We talked about something yesterday, and I want to go back to it. This new Mannion offense. It's a West Coast style offense, right? And we mentioned this to you yesterday. Got everybody in a tizzy yesterday. Hurts is throwing the ball only 99 times out of 2,400 passes across the middle of the field. with a 123.7 quarterback rating and 77 completion percentage. One's a lie. You can take it as it's a small sample size. That's why those numbers are so bad and good. What's the truth? And the case would be this. If he's so good throwing across the middle of the field, why haven't they tried to develop that part of the game? Why haven't they tried developing a strong suit of Jalen Hurts' game by throwing across the middle of the field more if he's so proficient? Why not? How come they haven't developed that more then? Truth is, he doesn't see the middle. Because their OC was garbage? Every one of them? Kellen Moore too? Let's do something here. How many times did Jalen throw the football across the middle of the field in 24? Let me see if they have a stat for that. How many passes did Jalen Hurts throw to the middle of the field in 2024? 28 passes. At a 390, he had 28 passes. He had 28 passes to the middle of the field. Kellen Moore was a savant. When a guy won a Super Bowl, he threw the ball 28 times across the middle of the field during the Super Bowl year. Why didn't he do that more? 28 times. You and I have already discussed Kellen Moore wasn't given autonomy. That was Nick's system. You said this months ago. Now, all of a sudden, you forgot because it doesn't support your narrative. Well, if it's Nick's system, why didn't he enhance and develop Jalen Hurts' throwing across the middle of the field? That's the question, my friend. You see this here? The guy didn't win a Super Bowl. Barkley did. You never developed the guy. And when you needed it in 25, it reared its head. If he's so good at it, why don't you do it? And by the way, this is why you're changing the offense. Guys, you think any of the coaches and players didn't ask Jalen to throw over the middle of the field? How about this, Duel? Can you imagine? This is what, you see this? This is what guys like this and this will tell you. Check this out. You know what those guys will tell you? When you're coming up with a game plan and you're sitting game planning against the Cowboys and you have all the plays written up and you are asking the quarterback, what plays do you like? It's the quarterback that picks the plays that he likes. It's not the coordinator. The coordinator doesn't make you he doesn't put a game plan together. He doesn't put a game plan together based on plays the quarterback doesn't want. Are you so what did you think? Kevin Patullo came up with plays and made Jalen Hurts run those plays? That's not what they do in those meetings. They sit down and talk with the quarterback and the quarterback coach and the head coach, and they sit there and they go over the quarterback and go, what plays do you want to run? Here's some plays we worked on. Here's some plays we like. Kevin Patullo, with no play calling experience, is going to go to Jalen Hurts and go, I want you to run this. Who would listen to that? I want you to fly this route to get somewhere. Have you ever flown a plane? No. But you want me to fly that plane in a route you've never taken? You don't really believe that's how game plans are made, do you? There's people in the room. I've been in these rooms. When you put these game plans together, the quarterback is sitting there with all the coaches. You go over a game plan of what you're looking at with what plays you think are going to beat Minnesota, the Cowboys, and you take those plays and you practice them all week. Then what you do is you go to the quarterback on a Saturday night. You're sitting there on a Saturday night going, Jalen, here are the plays that we worked on all week. What 25 plays do you like? Hurts will go down the list and pick those plays. You mean to tell me nobody in the building and no one in the room went, what about some throws across the middle of the field? The reason you got away with that was because you had a dominant running game. Because you were number one 4 of the 5 years. Now that you're not number one, I'll make a comment to you. If you don't get to number 1, 2, or 3 in the running game this year, you have no shot at winning ball games. You proved that a year ago. I mean, look at down the stretch. Like I said, I do this every year. And the first month of the season, I call what? I call it Liars Month. Okay? And to me, that first month of the season, because nobody practices, because nobody sits there and here, let's go back here. 2025. After September, 2025, Eagle season. Okay. First 5 games, September. 1, 2, 3. The first 5 games. After the first 5 games, what did you end up? Let's see here. Here you go. First 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After Denver, actually the first 4, which was September. After that, you went, how many games? You went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losses. How many wins? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You were 7-7 after the first month of the season. 7-7. Whatever, man. Because the Eagles went 4-0 in September. He wants to take away their great start. I told you that every team here, I'll give you another team. He thinks that's really because I'm picking on the Eagles. All right. He thinks I'm picking on the Eagles. So let's go to the Bucks. In case anybody's thinking that I'm being that way, let's go to the Buccaneers. And what the Buccaneers did, because I said it was bullshit too with the Bucks. And the Bucks had actually a better record than what people thought. So here's the Bucks. I took September away from the Bucks. You know why? The Buccaneers in September were 1, 2, 3, and 1. And in the first, actually, if you want to go down the list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they were 6-1 at one time. I said, don't believe the first 4 games of the year. After the first 4 games of the year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as I told everyone, they were full of shit. They were not a good football team. 1, 2, 3, 4. What were they after the fourth? 1, 2, 3, 4. They won 4 ball games after the first month of the season. And they were 6-2. They would go on to win 2 more games. Okay? They would go on and win 2 more ball games. You can't make this shit up. Imagine listening to an all-pro bench warmer. Again, we end those conversations when we go there. There's no reason. Don't be mad at me for me pointing shit out, guy. Don't get upset. Sorry you're upset. Stop crying. It's unbecoming of a man. Y'all crying. Y'all get personal and start crying. Jesus. Really? It's okay, kid. It'll play out. Yeah, the quarterback chooses the plays from the offensive system given to him. He doesn't draw up plays himself. The coaches say, here are 50 plays. Which ones do you like? Not. Draw up some plays you like. No, you got a playbook, dude. That's not how it is. At the beginning of the year in OTAs and training camp, you're given the Sean Mannion playbook. And you're having to sit there and read all of the playbook and know what all these plays are. 2nd and 6, 3rd and 4, whatever. You have to know all these plays. You bring your playbook. Here's what happens. On a Monday, you bring your playbook with you. Walk into meetings. You watch film. Tuesday's Players' Day off. Wednesday, you walk in with that big playbook. Then you get the game plan for the week. And inside that game plan, you've got plays that your quality control guys have cut up film on. And here's the top 60 plays that an offense likes to run in certain situations. They'll go 1st and 10, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 5, whatever. You go down the list and you see it. They're in your book. It goes by tendencies. You sit there and build your game plan. And that's how you build the game plan, defensively and offensively. Then you look at your playbook on the left side on stunts you may run against a particular offensive backfield set. Brown, strong, I formation, whatever. And you see what the coordinator's doing because he's up on the chalkboard. Then you go to your position groups and you sit there and go to page 7 on your playbook. We're going to try to run this stat here, this wide tackle 6 twist, and see how this T-twist works. Because look at the offensive guard. You'll go to your playbook. You'll see that and watch the film on the tendencies of the offense with wide splits or short splits, what have you. And you'll sit there and you'll come up with plays that you're going to run defensively against that respected offense. That's how a game plan's made. And on offense, it's the same way. You bring your playbook in, you've got your game plan. These are the top 60 plays we think we're going to run against that respected team. They've shown signs of being weak at the right corner. They're weak against the run. You don't run the same plays every fucking week. Every team is a different matchup every week. Why would you run the same plays? You don't. Every team is built different. So you're going to be strong. And some teams, like in 24 with the Eagles, you could just run any play. It won't matter. That's what the Eagles did in 24. They didn't care what you would run. They ran you over. They just ran your ass over. Hey, Sills, quick question. Who was the only team in the NFL to repeat as division champs last season? And what's the name of the quarterback? Slipped my mind. G Guns, he's like 18 or so. Why so sensitive? Sills, I think Jalen's going to have a good year. And once how he wants to talk extension, Hurts is going to deny him due to the Eagles' lack of faith in him. Why would he do that? Hey, dude, $60 million makes me feel a lot better about people. Don't get bent up like that, Martin. If Jalen Hurts has a good year and the Eagles come to him and say, here's $63 million, all bets are off then about some of the shit that may have had when it. Hey, they questioned him going into the 22 year. He wasn't that good in 21. They had 2 first-round picks. He had a great 22 season, and they gave him the contract extension. All bets were off. I mean, money talks, dude. I'm not getting butthurt over anything that somebody says or maybe somebody doesn't say. If you're starting to show me the money, you show me the money, I'm going to be good with that. Hey, yeah, that's a good one here. Bragging about back-to-back titles, division, NFC East titles. Congratulations to you. Boy, have you lowered your standard, dude. Okay, JP, money keep wishing on. Let's see here. Like I said, you have a great year and you go far into the playoffs, like a divisional round, and you're Jalen Hurts and you go to the divisional round and $60 million comes your way, I don't give a shit what was said. Hurts 3 years at 60 annual with a gigantic signing bonus. Okay. What did you say last year? Who gives a shit? Yeah, and the plays from the playbook under KP and Nick have been trash. That's why he doesn't throw it in the middle, because it's a trash system to begin with. Mannion is finally giving him something to work with. Mannion's giving him something to work with, which he's never done before. How do you know that? So you think in a meeting, Jalen Hurts, after 5 years, is going to go, let's start throwing across the middle of the field. Can't wait to see it. He's never done it. Under Kevin Patullo, under Shane Steichen, any of these guys. But now he's going to. Boy, you think this zebra is going to change its stripes. I can't wait. And nor do I believe it. Yeah, the problem that you have here, these 99 passes since 22, it's too small a sample size. Someone's going to be right or wrong. He's got 123.7 quarterback rating, throwing across the middle of the field, and 77 completion percentage with only 99 passes. We'll see what's right when they uptick that number and see how many passes he has. Hey, you think Jalen's going to throw more than 100 passes in a year across the middle of the field? Let me see something here. How many passes? How many passes did Brock Purdy? How many passes has Brock Purdy thrown across the middle of the field? And this guy's been hurt since 2022. And he's been hurt. Since entering the NFL in 2022, Brock Purdy has thrown roughly 380 passes targeting the middle of the field. Hurts has 99. So Purdy has 380 passes to the middle of the field. Let me use another one. Let me use another guy. Let's go Josh Allen. $450 passes across the middle of the field. Hurts is 99. Let's go Baker Mayfield. These guys are making Hurts look like a high school. Since 22, Baker Mayfield has thrown 594 regular season passes to the middle of the field. Hurts has thrown 99. Let me go Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has thrown 1,000 passes since 22 to the middle of the field. Hurts has thrown 99. I mean, pick a quarterback. Let me go with Jacoby Brissett. And you guys think this guy is going to throw to the middle of the field? Jacoby Brissett. $420 passes. Jacoby Brissett. Let me get another stiff. How about Kyler Murray, who's always hurt? $350. I mean, where in God's name do you think Hurts is going to all of a sudden look at this? Let me, for God's sakes, let me see Joe Burrow on what Joe Burrow has done throwing across, and he's hurt. Joe Burrow has thrown 1,500 passes to the middle of the football field in between the hash marks at a 68% completion percentage. And Jalen Hurts is 99 passes and 2,400 attempts. I mean, dare I put stat? Let me put Mahomes in there. $1,700 passes have been to the middle of the field. Hurts has 99. Here, one last one. We'll do Stafford. Comparing him to the rest of the quarterbacks in the league is obnoxious. He's thrown the ball to the middle of the field 1,800 times. Hurts has thrown it 99. And you think this new offensive genius is going to all of a sudden start throwing across the middle of the field? So you're telling me that that's right, let's do Dak. You're telling me that Nick Sirianni, who worked with Phillip Rivers, didn't design any plays to go across the middle of the field. And this is all on the coordinators. Jalen Knight's out in force today. Dude, he threw 400 passes across the middle of the field last year alone. So wait a minute here. You're trying to tell me you believe that Nick Sirianni for the last 5 years, knowing the rest of the quarterbacks across the league, dominate the middle of the field, except for your quarterback in Philly, that he didn't call any plays or design one play for the middle of the field in the last 5 years? Why would you think he wouldn't do that? Why do you think he wouldn't do that? I mean, why would you think? Quality over quantity, really, with only 99 passes? Correct. 99 passes is not a sample size of anything. They neglect the middle of the field because the quarterback doesn't want to go there. Okay? That's a great call. Phillip Rivers in 2019. Let's see. Phillip Rivers was the starting quarterback. Or who was the starting quarterback? Was that Wentz? Colts starting quarterback. Starting QB in 2019. It was Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett passes across the middle of the field. In 2019. He threw the ball across the middle of the field in 2019 350 times. When Sirianni was the OC. He comes to Philadelphia and he abandons that? And he abandoned that? Let's see here. Let's see. Colts season. Bro, Kyler Murray is thrown. And you think that Sean Mannion is going to 2019? He threw for 29-42 that year. And they were like 7-8. And he still threw the ball over 300 times across the middle of the field because Nick was there. You got to be kidding me. My God. When did Hurts say he doesn't want to throw over the middle? Never. Hurts has said he's willing to do whatever it takes to win. So, Ray, you're telling me in the last 5 years, when a coach walks in with plays that he thinks is going to be plays to be able to beat a team, you mean to tell me Nick Sirianni X's out those plays? Bullshit. BS. Sirianni's not that smart. He's not that smart. Dude, you know, there's a caboose on the back of a train, and it's red. And you see that caboose. I'm going to start changing the name on the back of the train from caboose to the Sirianni. Hey, you see the Sirianni? It's on the back of the train, you know, when kids drive by. Look, Dad, the train. Oh, they got 7 locomotives and 1 Sirianni. And there it is. There it is. Look at it right there. Holy cow. I mean, you know, by the way, the articles that are coming out, I'm starting to wonder, is that coming from inside the building? Is that coming from Nicole Lynn, Hurts' agent? Because now you got a news story coming out saying that Hurts is pissed off at the ownership and the front office for not backing him. And I don't think that article was singling out players. I don't think that anybody in the front office has said, hey, that's my guy. If it was, where's the contract extension? If you believe in Jalen Hurts so much, where's the extension? He's 50-18 in the last 4 years. There's no quarterback, like you guys have been saying, that have earned this. Where's the extension? When does Nicole Lynn and those guys go, I'm out? without further ado, the man who really, back in the day, said it to you, the doorman is the head coach of your football team. But I want to get here started out with Jalen Hurts. My friend, make sure you go to AngeloCataldi.com. By the way, sensational stuff today. I was over there today. And anytime my friend, he's got a picture of Cardi B. And it should be Cardi DD because this is good. AngeloCataldi.com. Make sure you check it out. My friend, Angelo Cataldi joins us now. That's quite a
and that's going to get you in trouble. You can't reference breasts anymore. Didn't you know that?
I do.
There are new rules now.
I do know this.
I'll tell you. I don't know where to start. I'm so glad I'm not in your racket anymore. I can't tell you enough. When I saw that thing erupt last week where Charles Barkley pointed out accurately, the Cardi B is probably closer to Cardi D, right? Cute line, funny line, but that activated this minority of pathetic losers in their mom's basement waiting for something to get excited about. And enough people did that so that they wanted Charles to cave, to apologize, the same crap. And it's like, no, don't do it. And Charles didn't do it. And to his credit, he played a card I've played many times in my radio career, where he basically told all the people that were bitching, including his bosses, okay, fire me. Fire me. Because he knows they're firing him.
Angelo, wait, you walked into your bosses and you threatened him before to fire you?
Oh, a dozen times. Rhea Hughes will tell you at least a dozen times. Because you got to understand, most of these guys that were advising me didn't know what the hell they were talking about. They were bureaucrats. They were pencil pushers. They were paper shufflers. They didn't know anything about content. They didn't know what fans cared about. They sat back there. You got good ratings. They took the credit. Then they went, you know what? I think I got to get a little more involved so I could take a little more credit. So that they would go, why'd you say that? And honestly, Dan, 4 hours a day, babbling like an idiot. Many times when my boss would call me in, I couldn't even remember what it was they were referencing. there were a lot of candidates every day on stuff I said that could have upset someone. That was the point. Do you understand? When I was doing this, my main competition was Howard Stern. Howard Stern would say the most outrageous things, thereby clearing the way for us to say slightly less outrageous things and get away with it. And we did. That was the atmosphere back then. Now, the army of nerds have arrived and descended upon the world to make sure nobody says anything that is insensitive to one person. And if it is, shut him down. If he's not a big name, cancel him. Get rid of him.
It's the stupid woke. It's the stupid woke folks there and all them idiots that like to try to cancel people. Well, I'll say this to you, Angelo. One of the things that I know, talking to Wheezy Kramer back in the day about you, Wheezy told me, you know what made Angelo Cataldi so much of a legend in our business at Entercom back then and with CBS after we bought him, after we looked at the numbers? It wasn't just your ratings. You were the king of the R's, ratings and revenue. It was the revenue. That's what made
it was money.
Just like with guys like Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh wasn't going to get fired. He made $65 million a year in revenue for those guys.
Right.
Not firing that. And that's what made you a legend, was the 2 R's.
So then they try to tell you that it's strictly about morality. You know, that if you say that, you're getting fired. No. If you say that and you're Charles Barkley, you're not getting fired. Rush Limbaugh, you're not getting fired. Howard Stern, no. To a lesser degree, me. But it was like, what does the business indicate? Do we have to fend off this attack by the social media nerds, or do we have to get rid of the person? It has nothing to do with how egregious the comment is. It has to do with how powerful the person who made it is. And, you either got it or you don't. You got to learn early on. I tell this to people I mentor. Early on, you're going to realize you're smarter than your boss. Then you're going to have to navigate how to do your job and keep him quiet. And once you got enough power, you can tell him to go to hell, which, by the way, I also did many times.
You see, that's where I never had the filter. I'd walk in, and Angelo, I'll tell you what. So I'm sitting in our meetings sometimes. I'll get to Jalen Hurts here in a minute. I'm sitting in my meetings, and I'm just drawing circles because I'm doing 10 shares. I got $190,000 a month going in my show, right? I'm doing circles like this, and my boss goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm drawing a hangman." He goes, and the guy goes, "Why?" He goes, "Well, I can't wait to get the hell out of here. The stuff you're talking about, PPM and all this, you guys are dumb." I go, "You don't know what you're talking about." And I would sit in there, and they would go, "Oh, come into my office." And I'm going like, what would you know about creating a 4-hour show of dead air? I'm responsible for dead air for 4 hours, 248 days of the year. What would you know? You wouldn't know. Used to aggravate me, Angelo. Angelo, let me get to the Eagles here.
Yes.
How come Jalen Hurts doesn't have a contract extension?
Because this is the year. This is the year that will determine whether he's the long-term answer or whether he's out. I think they're all right now. If he doesn't adapt to Mannion's system, and Mannion's system makes sense, let's just say it's solid. He has a good idea what he's doing. He's calling plays well, and Hurts doesn't execute it. The guy who leaves is Hurts. And I think they're knowing that. And I think they're hedging the bet now a little bit more than they have before, because the A.J. Brown thing exposed the fact that Hurts can be quirky, that Hurts isn't automatically going to, embrace every single member of the team blindly and forever. That if a guy's a jackass and in some way Hurts says he's hurting the team, Hurts will not, suffer the fool. And I think what you're seeing now is, this is the year that will determine how long Jalen Hurts plays in Philadelphia. Personally, I would not ever let him go. I think he's terrific. He just needs to be surrounded with great people, which he hasn't been, except for the year they won the Super Bowl. I'd like to see him. I really like to see him do great this year.
You mean great people like coaches around him, not just the players, right?
Specifically, Kellen Moore, people who know how to do their jobs and allow him to do his to a level that, reflects his ability. He's checking all the boxes. Yeah, no one ever says it. He does everything well, from thinking about the position to executing it, to running, to throwing. He does it all well. Does he do it perfectly? No. Is there somebody in the NFL who does some quarterback who does at least one thing is better than he does? Yes, in every sense. There's a better runner than him. There's a better passer than him. But he does it all. He's a package. And they're not, they still aren't acknowledging it because they keep putting dumbasses around him. Like Petula. I don't know about Mannion. Maybe Mannion's the next good one. Steichen was good. Hurts was great with him. Johnson sucked. Hurts sucked. Moore was good, and they won a Super Bowl. Hurts is not the problem. He's never been the problem, and there are still tons of people. I had dinner with a guy a week ago. All he told me about was how bad Hurts was. And I told him, I said, order more wine. You're not drunk enough yet.
So is that more of a reflection, in your opinion, on the organization believing that they think that they're more accountable for the wins on this team by putting these incompetent people around him or these lesser experienced people around him? Do you think that's more of their ego going, hey, we got this, we're good, let's put another guy who's never called plays around the guy?
Well, yeah, that's a big part of it. I just finished the mega article by Jeff McClain about Julian Lurie.
Right? Yes, that was
was very close to being a love letter. It was almost like a love letter to the young man, this brilliant Harvard grad. Let's not look. I got grandkids now that would love to get into an Ivy League school, right? I think I know how I can do it. give a $5 million endowment to whatever school they want. And guess what? The doors flip open. They're wide open for that. But this story that it came out basically says he's brilliant. He's amazingly brilliant. And he's a people person, which in effect means he's his father's son. He's got all these great qualities that his father's son had. I've heard his father talk. I don't think he's that smart. I'll say again. And here's the thing. This to me will be the true. Every year for the last 4 years, Julian Lurie has slowly been an apprentice to learn how to take over from his dad when his dad walks away. Sails off into the sunset in one of his yachts. All right. but here's the thing. If Julian Lurie is as smart as the article indicates he is, then he already knows that his head coach, Nick Sirianni, is a moron. Because, see, a smart person talking to somebody who's not too bright, you'll pick up pretty quickly that the person's not too bright. If you got a mind that's able to analyze what the person's saying and how they're saying it. So that to me is the first test for Julian Lurie. There's going to come a time in the next year or two where they're in these rooms and he's sitting by his dad. He's got an office right next to the president of the team and the owner of the team. He's already right in the middle there, where he's going to have to say to his dad or to whoever's there, I think Sirianni is not the guy. And then if they listen to him, I'm starting to think maybe he's got something, but I don't know. Right now,
you think that's beginning right now? That's
I think maybe. Well, according to this article, he has more and more set every day, even in moves. He's in the room when Howie Roseman's telling Jeff Lurie what he wants to do. And I wouldn't argue with Howie a lot. Howie's had a pretty good darn record the last few years. But look, maybe he's the guy. It's like Mannion. We don't know.
No.
He didn't become the Suns owner by making great investments and having enough money to buy an NFL franchise. He was born on third base. He's 90 feet from home plate. He's got all this time to figure out how to do it. My experience has been that the sons of the great men are not as great.
Yeah.
Either because they didn't chart the same course, they didn't take the same risks, they didn't make the same sacrifices, and they don't have that background that makes you successful. So I may be wrong. James Dolan just had, he's having a big parade tomorrow in New York, Dan. So,
yeah, but here to your point, Angelo, how do you think Hal Steinbrenner and Jeannie Buss, how do you think they've done from Dr. Jerry Buss to George Steinbrenner? How do you think those kids have done running the teams after the fact, or even John Mara after Wellington? How do you think they've done? They've done
not good.
Great.
Not good. And I don't think Dolan did either. Dolan just fell into clover this year. They got a guy so great, Jalen Brunson, such a winner, such a winning mentality, that they rode him right through the finals. And great. I'm glad the Knicks won. But I'm not ready to do a testimonial to James Dolan, James Dolan suddenly, during the finals, if you watch him, and by the way, his father, Chuck Dolan, was a cable television magnate, a true billionaire.
Started Cablevision in the New England area.
Right? He did it all. I'll give him that. All right. Yeah. James was a blues guitarist. And frankly, until this year, pretty much all he was singing was the blues. Because I still believe, despite the championship, he sucks as an owner.
He does.
Right? So I don't have a lot of examples to give you of where the son was every bit as good, if not better, than the father. And I'll even, not to get political, if you want to, I'll even tell you that's probably true in the White House.
Yeah, probably so.
Fred Trump was a very successful real estate guy. His son clearly was very good at that, but other things maybe not.
No. Trump was born rounding third, not on third. He was rounding third, right? He was born rounding it. Yeah, I agree, but totally.
There you go. But there's a lot of examples, Dan, and there aren't a lot where the son was that great.
The only
right?
guy I can think of is Ed DeBartolo Jr. When the father bought the 49ers,
Okay,
Ed takes over that team. That's kind of
right.
the only guy that I
Maybe.
can think that was a kid that took over and elevated the team. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
So I mean,
The essence of this piece was how brilliant the Eagles are.
oh my
And,
God,
and
man.
Jeff McClain bought into that. But Jeff McClain reinforced the idea that there's so many brilliant people running this organization that hopefully it rubs off on Jeff Lurie's son. I'm not even willing to make that concession. I know the coach isn't brilliant. I can tell you that right now. Howie Roseman he's covered up for a lot of people.
Do you think Howie walks out the door when Jeff walks out the door?
It's a very good question because no matter how you set it up, it can't be the same
No,
answering to the son
no,
of the guy you work with for 20, 30 years, right? So
no.
it'll be different. At that point, you'll see how good Julian Lurie's people skills are because he's got to retain final say, but he's also got to make sure that this guy who's built up these great rosters is happy. So you got to really, that's going to be interesting to watch. And they're saying it's a long way. Lurie talks about his mom who's still alive at 99, which is scary. Lurie's in his 90s, still up there. But I won't know. I won't be here to see it. I can tell you that. But I just, they really think they're brilliant. And they won a couple of Super Bowls, but I'm still not ready to say that.
No, I agree with you here. Hey, one thing on the Knicks here. I threw this out. I had Charles Oakley on my show over the weekend, and I asked him this question. I'll ask you, Angelo. You're from up in the Northeast. You were born up there in the Northeast area. And I said this, and you tell me if you think I'm off base or I'm whacked with this. I said that Jalen Brunson is the greatest New York Knick of all time, and here's why. Frazier played with he played with Earl Monroe. He played with the Busher. He played with Willis Reed. He played with Bradley. These are all Hall of Fame guys. There's not one Hall of Fame basketball player. Maybe you think Cat is. You think Karl Anthony Towns is going to be a Hall of Famer, but Mike Brown's not a Hall of Fame. That's not Red Holtzman. And you look at where this guy has come from, and I actually compare him to Jalen Hurts. Everybody doubted him. He's a second rounder. You never really thought this much of this guy, and here he is, a winner. He's got a couple national titles at Nova. Do you think this guy's the greatest Knick that's ever laced it up?
I'm not I don't know every Knick. I haven't thought. I wouldn't argue it. And I'll tell you what. I'll tell you my spin on this. Dan is that no one's written this and said this in Philadelphia, and it's boggling my mind. So we have a basketball franchise at our town called the Sixers, the 76ers.
Yes, I've heard of them.
76ers, a little less than a decade ago, decided that the best way to win a championship was to sacrifice 4 seasons, tank for 4 seasons, so that they could amass some great players with high draft picks and build a champion. Meanwhile, while this is happening in their very city, the actual formula for success is playing out at Villanova, where they don't have all the greatest players, but they have winners and a coach that teaches them how to win. A brilliant coach, Jay Wright, and Brunson, and all these other guys that have come out. And I went, why didn't the Sixers take a minute to look at the intestinal fortitude of these young players playing for Jay Wright and use that as a formula? Because you know who ended up doing it? The Knicks. This all happened in real time. And the Sixers, under the genius, the misunderstood genius, Sam Hinkie. Oh, what a whack job that guy is. 13-page a letter on why he's leaving after 3 friggin' years. Just leave. We're thrilled you're gone. They never looked at the right place to figure out how to win. You win with players who aren't just putting numbers up. Players who win. You look at Brunson and look at Embiid. Can you see a difference there?
Oh, completely.
Well, there you go. You put all your money on Embiid, and Brunson's right out there showing you how to do it. Dumb. You understand? And all this did, I rooted for the Knicks in the finals, Dan, because I wanted the Sixers to look dumber, which isn't easy.
No,
and they
did.
do.
They
The only
do.
problem is no one in the city is left who will tell what really happened, which is the process didn't work worth the damn. They didn't even get to the conference finals. The Knicks took their players and the mentality, and they won a championship.
3 dudes from Philadelphia were on that basketball team that won NBA championships that will be going down the Canyon of Heroes on Thursday.
Yeah.
And it was right under their nose. And they just watched those dudes walk out the building. That makes you know how far away the Sixers are from winning.
They are not real smart.
No.
You get it? That's Daryl Morey. I don't know about the new guy like Owens. I hope he has some power to do
They elevated Jameer Nelson, too, from what I understand.
Which is fine. I got no problem with that. Jameer has the right. He's got that intestinal fortitude. He's a winner.
Yeah.
But they just blew it. And no one's left to say it.
No.
No one's left. No one's left in our city there.
They're afraid to say anything.
Even when I was reading the Julian Lurie piece, I was saying to myself, this is a far cry from what Jeff McClain was writing 5 years ago.
Why is that change, you think?
I believe it all has to do with the atmosphere in the city and the bullying the Eagles have put on the media entities. I think if Jeff McClain wrote something today,
that's right,
like he was writing 5 years ago, all the bosses at the Acquire will get phone calls.
That Bob Lang is a
Bob
cancer.
Lang's on the line. He's not happy.
Yeah.
And you know what? The problem isn't that they do it. If I were there, I might try to maneuver the media that way too. The problem is that the media institutions are caving in, right? What better example can I give you than CBS and 60 Minutes?
Yeah.
All right. Dan, I've never said this. I say it right here on your show. I worked for CBS for over a decade. They own WIP.
Yep.
If I worked there today and I saw what they were doing to 60 Minutes and how the corporate America has now swallowed up journalism so it no longer even exists, I would have quit. And a few people at 60 Minutes are doing it. I would have quit and protest because I couldn't work for people like that. Somebody's got to stand up for what's right.
Angelo, the business today is just, like you said, I read that piece with Jeff McClain. I thought there was a heart connected to it. Like at the end of it, like a love letter. Like I thought candies were being sent too. I mean, do you really have to go overboard like that? Bob Lang is a cancer in that city, and he's infected everybody now. And now the Sixers and the Phillies think they can do the same thing that the Eagles do. And you know what? I got to hand it to you about one thing about Rhea. You know, I listen to IP a lot because I get content. I listen and read all that. Man, you know, she's a really good politician. She knows how to maneuver through the smoke, if you know what I mean. You know, she can maneuver through the smoke without getting her hand slapped. And she still says things, but you could tell she's still held back from saying everything, if that makes sense.
Well, she's got it's a different environment. You couldn't say it the way we said it.
Yeah.
But God bless her that she's still out there saying it, because nobody else is saying it, Dan. Nobody wants to lose their job. Nobody's saying fire me. Nobody's saying there's no humor anymore. Do you understand? You know why there's no humor? Because humor is a minefield. Now, Charles Barkley, when he said Cardi D's, most of the people thought it was hilarious. Right?
I did. I thought it was funny.
But in order to truly be a comedian today, somehow you have to offend no one. And it's impossible. It can't be done. The nature of comedy is you're poking fun at somebody or you're doing something like that. So nobody goes near it anymore. But it's not as entertaining. It's not as fun.
Did you enjoy uncomfortable conversations on your show?
I tried to create them. in an interview, when I had somebody on who, like, we were ripping, I would start slow, warm them up. You know, you
Yeah,
learn these interview techniques, and
that's what I do.
then you hit them with the first one, a little bit, just a little bit, and then hopefully they're loose enough when you go, well, is it true? Were you sleeping with that woman? And they go, then you
Oh,
wait,
man.
and if it plays perfectly, there's an awkward pause, and then somebody nervously laughs, and then you move on. But that pause says everything.
You know, I've got questions here that I want to ask you, and I got a couple minutes here with you, but I want to ask you an uncomfortable question. So, Major League Baseball right now has this like crazy situation going on where it's just counterproductive, in my opinion. So, if a guy doesn't believe in supporting Pride Month and he doesn't want to support that because, and by the way, I've got no, dude, we need more love in the world. I don't really care who you love, who your relationship is with. I don't really
Right.
care about that. I swear to God, it has no bearing on my life. And I don't
Right.
stand on anthills. I stand on mountains. I don't stand on anthills. In my life, that's an anthill. But today we like to make anthills in the mountains. So I saw something that these three San Francisco Giant guys were given a stern letter by Major League Baseball that they wrote something of a Bible verse on their hat. And I'm like, well, if you don't believe in that and you don't believe in supporting Pride Month, you have every right to do that, I think. And on the other, and by the way, I like to hear this. You should wear the hat. Okay, well, I don't mind that position either. On the other side, I want to hear that position. I don't want it muted. I want to have dialogue on my show going back and forth to educate everyone and me on maybe a position that I'm wrong. Why are we so afraid to have an uncomfortable conversation about, hey, I wouldn't want to wear the hat, but I really don't care if you really wanted to make an issue of it. Probably, maybe I would. I don't know. But if I wanted to put a Bible verse on my hat, like, what's his name? A year ago, you had Scherzer doing that as well. And you had all these other guys writing these little verses, and baseball wrote this. Angelo, where do you come down on this here? And like, baseball's got a very tough situation with this, because how do you sit there and look at a guy with his religious rights going, well, I don't buy that. Should I have to toe the line with Major League Baseball because they want to be political?
This is an easy one for me, Dan. I got to live my life and have a very fruitful career because of the First Amendment, because of freedom of speech. So my position is that every one of those players, regardless of their position, has a right to express it. There's every bit as much of a reason to put the Bible verse on as there is to support a gay Pride Month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about everything. Here's the problem. The corporations now that are all basically bean counters, they look at the situation and they go, where is the loudest core of critics? We need to suppress them. So we will cater to the loudest core, and the other people will get discarded. And it's unfair. Everyone has a right to express themselves in this country, and anybody who suppresses it should be attacked verbally, not physically, verbally, because verbal attack is what works in this country right now. And only the people that are doing the best job of that are getting their way. Nobody should be told they can't express themselves. And if they want to say it's bad for business, go, well, the only reason you have a business is because this is America.
You have a right to be a jackass in this country.
Ask AJ Brown.
Hey, and like I said, and Angelo, I'm like, I completely agree with every single thing you just said. I go, look, you want to wear the hat? Great. You don't want to wear the hat? That's great too. But everyone should have a right to go like this. I don't want to wear the hat, and I don't want to hear any shit from you. Right. Or I don't want to hear any shit from you. I'm wearing it. Okay, great.
Yes, exactly. We don't all have to think the same.
Both things can be true, right?
Yes. You don't have to adhere to what a corporation decides is your opinion. You have your own. Be true to yourself.
I think the woke culture is the minority in this country, but they're the loudest.
They are. And frankly,
You know how I know that, Angelo?
right,
Every 4 years, this last 4
right,
years in the election
right.
proved it to me that they were the silent minority, because it wasn't just Trump winning the White House. It was the House and the Senate. So
Yes,
down the line, we're not just New York and California. We're middle America in the South and everywhere
thank
else.
you.
And guess what we forget? Hey, those guys on social media, they're the minority that scream the loudest, but yet they're
That's
heard
it.
the biggest. It's crazy, isn't it?
And that's why Charles Barkley, 3 words, said it all to all those people out there that are making all this noise. Kiss my ass. He's right. Kiss my ass. And I'd say that if I was still on the air, Dan. I'd say I never kowtowed to those people because I understood that they were a minority who were putting pressure on. We would get 3 FCC complaints by listeners to the FCC. And they go, oh, your license is threatened. And I went, well, maybe we should hold a referendum so we get 1 million people saying they like what we're doing. And these 3 outliers can shut the hell up for a change. They're entitled to their opinion. I am not telling them not to express it. I'm telling the people in charge not to allow it to change their behavior and make decisions that are ridiculous, unfair, and unjust.
I get 2 last ones here on the Eagles, and I'll let you go. Who do you believe in your heart is under the most pressure this year going into this year? Sirianni or Jalen?
Great question. The answer is Sirianni.
Why?
Because ultimately, because a coach is a hell of a lot easier to replace than a quarterback. And a quarterback who has got all the talent that he has and the record that he has, I'm sorry. Now, they clearly have a different opinion of one guy who won a Super Bowl, Sirianni, they did about the other guy who won a Super Bowl, Doug Peterson. So he clearly, for whatever reason, probably because he kisses their ass more, but for whatever reason, Sirianni has more cachet in the front office than Peterson did. But I don't think another year like last year is going to make it possible for him to continue. Because by now, if Julian is as smart as that article says he is, he's going to tell his dad that he's basically employing a moron as a head coach.
Finally here, do you believe that the Eagles are now wavering on their relationship moving forward with Jalen Carter? Do you think that relationship, if you remember right, a year ago, they were talking about clearing all this money up to sign this guy, and all of a sudden now we had a small holdout, and I'll tell you why. Drew Rosenhaus likes to have a technique called a hold-in. He didn't participate in any of the team activities. He did a couple things, but not enough to where you went, okay, so he's not doing that. I think there's going to be an issue come fall if that contract extension is not on the table. That 5th-year extension wasn't good enough. Picking up that 5th year, no. They want to be paid $40 million. And I think the Eagles they've balked a little bit on it. Do you?
Well, here's the thing with that. The Eagles have made it clear by what they do with A.J. Brown that they don't want troublemakers.
Yeah.
Carter got thrown out of the opening game for spitting. Remember that incident?
How big a deal do you think that is for Lord?
I think it's bigger than we thought it was, because I think that's the kind of thing that ticks off the top people. And I think that even though, and no one's going to tell you Carter isn't one of the most talented tackles in the game. He is. Right? The question is, but why did you make this massive investment to Jordan Davis, who is also good, but not as good, not as good a player? You gave him the money, but you didn't give Carter the money yet. If that goes further and they don't give Carter the money, it isn't about his playing ability. It's about his demeanor. It's about his clubhouse presence. It's about things like the spitting incident. So I think he's another guy. It's going to be a good year. A lot of guys are going to determine their fate based on what happens this season. I can't wait for it to start for that reason. But Carter's going to get paid. And I got the sense Carter doesn't really care where the money's coming from.
Yeah,
He's going to get paid. And if it's not here, it'll be somewhere else. So I don't think he's too worried about it. I don't think Rosenhaus. I think the fact that he's not in, he's not a part of the optional appearances that you make indicates that's a negotiating tactic. I'm going to stay away to let you know I'm not thrilled right now. Just a little sign. And then if I'm still not thrilled at training camp, I'll maybe do something a little more dramatic. It's the way it works.
They gave Davis, who's a first and second down player, $25 million.
Yeah.
I got to think that maybe rubbed Rosenhaus and Carter the wrong way, going, this guy plays on first and second down. He played 80 plays last year on third down. And the majority of the time you're a nickel and he's off the field. And yet you gave him that money? Hold on here. Where's our money?
The minute you gave him that money, you gave more money to Carter. And Carter's saying now, I want my money. And they're going, let's see a little more. You know, it's the game within the game. That's what we're seeing right now.
Well, I know we're not going to see any love letters on AngeloCataldi.com.
No, I don't
do
it.
I don't do it.
Hey,
by the way, that guy gets mad at me for some of the things I said. He allegedly tried to sue JAKIB over me because I didn't have things in quotes.
Who did Jeff McClain, the reporter?
They threatened me.
Best reporter covered the Eagles in the last generation, but I'm seeing the same tendency I've seen with so many others. A little more reluctant now to dive in. It's better to say how brilliant everybody is. That makes everybody happy. Not my style.
Angelo Cataldi, make sure you guys check it out. Thank you so much, Angelo. Tell everybody hi for me.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
You got it. That is Angelo Cataldi. So Bob Lang is infecting the entire city now. I'll tell you one thing I give Angelo credit for. He's not wavering on his respect for Hurts, and he's not wavering on his thought process for Jalen. Not at all. Okay? Yeah, listen, I think that we wrote this down here. Where is that? Jalen Carter. I think Drew Rosenhaus and Jalen Carter are very upset that the Eagles gave Jordan Davis that money. And to what Angelo just said, where's mine? I mean, he's making more money this year than – I mean, in theory, if you think about it, Jordan Davis has more of a future with the Eagles than Jalen Carter does. And that's pissed off the Rosenhaus folks. I can promise you this, guys. They're not happy. They are not happy. Okay? They are not. All right. We're going to make a switch in the lineup order here. And before we go to Battle Royale, that'll be at the bottom of the hour with Mark Holmes and with our boy Philly 500. We got a big week going on for this guy. And this guy here, we got to fit him in where we can get him in. I'll tell you, man, he's getting all fitted for a tux. He's getting all fitted for everything. He is our friend. He is Big Z. He is Zander Krause, and he joins us now right here on the program. How you doing, Big Z?
What's up, Sills? This will be the last appearance on JAKIB for me for 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
Can you believe it? I can't believe that.
No, because you're a workaholic.
Well, I'm excited to get everything done and get past this part. And I'm excited for Italy, but I'm happy to be on today. Good interview with Angelo per usual.
Tell me what you think. First, let's start it off with Jalen Carter. They're pissed off down there, dude, at the Rosenhaus folks. They are not happy with how this thing is shaken out. And I know I probably am in the minority right now, but I know how those guys operate, Z. And I'm telling you, man, you wait till training camp. If this thing is not resolved by training camp, I think you're going to see more of an issue there in training camp with Jalen Carter. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about the way they're feeling. And I think sometimes that's part of negotiations, right? I mean, not everybody's always happy in every negotiation. I think there's this thought process that Okay, the Eagles are going to be happy, and Carter's camp is going to be happy. Right now the Eagles and Carter's camp see it differently, and I think that's part of it right now. I mean, and I think both sides are fair. I understand where Carter's camp would be coming from, but if I'm the Eagles, I'm not ready to pay that type of money yet. I'm just not. That's me personally, and it seems like the Eagles are on board with that as well. So I don't know that I see a holding coming, because what does that do for him? Do you think that really forces the Eagles' hand to give him a contract before this? I don't know that it does. And still, just remember this. There is some baggage with Jalen Carter. It's not like he's free and clear of that. Now you're going to sit out and expect either the Eagles or another team to pony up. I think you hurt yourself that way more than you help yourself if you're Jalen Carter. I think the best thing he can do is go and dominate the first 6 weeks of the year.
Do you think Micah Parsons forced himself out of Dallas?
No, but
no.
Well, I mean, it felt like Dallas kind of was toying with that contract, and Micah had earned it. I mean, Micah did more than Jalen has done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jerry didn't want to pay it.
And it's not, I don't love the comp just from the perspective of Dallas and their contract. Like, does Dallas handle any of their contracts well?
No.
Dak they've handled, I guess, but they even overpaid him.
But you can tell now that Micah still wishes I think he wishes he was a Cowboy.
I agree.
Just the way he talks.
Well, that's kind of his personality, right? His personality is very Cowboy-esque.
The reason that I'm going down that lane is because don't think and put it past your Rosenhaus to convince Jalen Carter the grass is greener on the other side. You've got your Super Bowl. You've got your 2 NFC titles. Now it's time for your bag of money, dude. I mean, it's time for your bag of money. Whether it's in Tennessee, Jacksonville, the Jets, you think he gives a shit what the emblem on the helmet is? I think people are thinking that Jalen Carter cares. Look, I'm not saying he doesn't want to be an Eagle. I'm saying, no, when you got an agent like Drew Rosenhaus,
yeah, but
that logo is not as loyal as you think.
I know, but dude, he's not a free agent, so he doesn't have the ability to do that yet. Like, remember, like he still has to thread the needle. It's not like if you were Milton Williams, it's like, all right, yeah, he's gonna go, he's gonna start a bidding war and go to the highest bidder, like Nakobe Dean did, like Milton Williams did, like Josh Sweat did. That to me is a different circumstance. I mean, he technically still has 2 years under contract with the Eagles. I don't think he's got that type of leverage or that type of power when it comes to the deal. Now, I don't disagree with you that his camp wants the deal or that they should want the deal, but like I said at the start, just because somebody's mad in a negotiation doesn't mean they're going to get their way or that they're right.
Yeah, but I think you're also making it sound like the Eagles are completely 1,000% happy with everything that guy is.
No, they're not.
And get this, and that they wouldn't be willing to deal him. I think they're more willing to deal him. I think they're more willing to deal him than you think.
They have floated that out a couple of times. So, maybe that's possible that they would look to trade him. I weirdly think, I've said this before, I weirdly think that Moro Jomo is actually kind of the ace in the deck for the Eagles. Not to say that you're going to put everything on Moro, but it does give you a little bit of a fallback. It's like, all right, if Carter is going to play hardball, I do have a pass rushing DT. That's pretty good. I do still have my nose tackle under contract that we want to play more 3 technique. I did get Jonathan Grenard. I do have Jalix Hunt and Nolan. Like, I still have defensive linemen, versus a guy like Quinion. It's like, if Quinion walks, what are you going to do?
No.
You're going to play Keely Ringo? No, you're not.
But I'm not getting there with him.
No, you're not.
I'm not letting that.
Why aren't you getting there with him?
Because he shows too much consistency on being great.
Exactly. He's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's worth every penny and more. Jalen Carter hasn't done that just yet.
The 2026 season, I am willing to say, is the last year for Saquon Barkley. And here's why. He's owed in 27, 2.5 million if you get off him and cut him. That's all the money that's guaranteed to him.
Wow, that's not that much. I
Why
thought it'd be
got
more than that after they reworked that deal.
$2.5 million to get out from him after this year.
Yeah, I think
And
you're
if
right.
you keep him, you owe him 14.6.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. And the only way I could see them doing that is I think it was Bob Brown who said it earlier on your show. If he really proves that he's a dual threat running back in terms of catching the ball and
I'm a
running the
McCaffrey
ball.
kind of guy.
Yeah, I don't know if it has to be to that level, but call it 600 yards in the air, consistency catching the ball, and the running threat. I think you pick that up. But if he doesn't do that, it's going to be hard for me. Especially, I mean, the other thing about it is we've talked about all those contracts coming up. It's like when you get to a crunch, it feels like Howie will default back to his original MO on building a roster. And that's cheap running backs, cheap linebackers. He's going to save where he's used to saving. And maybe even a rookie quarterback. We'll see what happens with Jalen Hurts, how well he plays this year. So if Saquon doesn't really crush it this year, and I would say the same with Zach Bond, who's going to be 30, I could see Howie getting cheaper there.
I want to go to a couple more things here with you here, Z. So we mentioned this about Jalen Hurts throwing across the middle of the field, and I want to hear your comments on this. So I went and looked up some of the quarterbacks that threatened the middle of the field since 2022. Jalen Hurts has thrown the ball across the middle of the field 99 times, as we know. Do you know that Mahomes has thrown across the middle of the field 1,000 times? Do you know that Mayfield has thrown the ball 694 times across the middle of the field?
Well, it's typically NFL quarterbacks who are one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the world. Yeah, typically they can throw the ball anywhere on the field where the defense gives it. That's typically how it goes.
Last year alone, Matthew Stafford threw the ball 400 times across the middle of the field. Trevor Lawrence threw the ball 420 times since 22 across the middle of the field. My question is, you mean to tell me that this monarch butterfly is going to turn into a stork or into a hawk in Philadelphia, and all of a sudden, this guy's going to turn himself into this bald eagle, and he's just going to turn himself into a different guy? Am I to believe that?
No, you're not to believe that. You got to be proven that.
Okay.
And I think everybody should be in that camp. I've never been one to be delusionally optimistic. There's been spurts where I have been, but speaking of default settings, that's not my default setting in life. I'm going to have to be proven that. I mean, that doesn't mean that I don't think they can find ways to win. But when you're talking about specifically what you're talking about,
West Coast offense,
taking advantage of the middle of the football field, making defenses pay, I'm going to have to be proven to, that can be done consistently and at a high level. I haven't seen it. Maybe it's because they haven't asked him to do it. I don't buy that. I know Jalenites do buy that. They haven't asked him to do that and whatever. I think it's because he that's not what he wants to do or what the best method for him is. But it feels like this is the year, man. This is the crunch time year. You're either going to start to make those throws or the organization is going to make a decision on you, and that is coming. So, I said it yesterday. For any of the Jalenites out there, buckle up. This is Jalen's opportunity once again to shut Sileo up, to shut me up, to shut Underdog up, to shut Rasputin up, to shut up any of his doubters. Go and play like we need you to play as an elite caliber NFL quarterback. And at the end of the line, at the finish line, when you put your hands up and you run through the tape, right there waiting for you is going to be the biggest NFL contract in history. If you don't run through the tape, though, well, no biscuit for you.
So you are in the camp, and there's a lot of folks like you that believe that Nick is a good coach. Not a great one, but he's a good coach,
Yeah,
right?
I think that's how I classify him. A good coach. I don't know if he's great,
Good
but
coach.
maybe
Maybe not
been
elite,
great.
but he's
His
really
resume's great.
Yeah, resume's great. He's he almost embodies what the quarterback is a bit. Quarterback's not elite, but he's good. Kind of like Nick, not elite.
Well, how
but
good of a
good.
coach you think Nick would be if Matthew Stafford was his quarterback?
Exceptional.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, here, I'm going to go down that lane.
All right, go ahead. No, whatever your show, your topics, wherever you want to go.
I know where I'm going with this because this is kind of where I'm trying to lead you.
All right, let's go.
So, over the last 5 years, this brilliant quarterback coach and this brilliant offensive-minded guy who worked with a guy like Phillip Rivers, you mean to tell me in 5 years when they were going over plays and getting ready for an upcoming game on a respected Sunday, Nick Sirianni in that 5 years never said, hey, Jalen, what about some of these plays across the middle of the field? What about some of these? What do you think of these plays? The quarterback in the end is going to take the plays that they practice during the week, and the ones that he's comfortable with, he's the ones that are going to pick. Whether it's Kevin Patullo or whether it's Brian Johnson or Kellen Moore, the quarterback's going to be sitting in there with the guys going, I think this will work, I think this will work, and I think that will work. You mean to tell me your smart coach over the 5 years never recommended any passes at all across the middle of the field? I don't buy that. I think he built that offense around that quarterback because they knew that quarterback doesn't want to go to the middle of the field.
I think you're right. I mean, this is where I think there is some credence to people who say it almost feels like they're pushing Jalen out the door. Because, like you just explained it in a good way, because just like you probably don't do that for Jalen, you're also not going to walk up to Matthew Stafford with a playbook and say, hey, dude, I got this really good RPO concept that I think will work. Are you sure you don't want to run this? I mean, if Matthew Stafford says no to that, you're not going to be like, what the hell? You're going to be like, yeah, all right, let me play to your skill set. They're not doing that with Jalen. They've been doing that with Jalen, but they're not anymore. Now they are seemingly saying asking him to do those things that hasn't really been his game. So that's where I think there is some credence to the thought process of they threw him in the proverbial throw him in the deep end of the pool and see if he swims. It feels like they are doing that in a little bit because they're asking him to run an offense that's not built to his skill set. And Hyper Pat, that's precisely what I'm saying. Well, he could run RPO. Yeah, you're right. But you're not going to ask him to, be a running quarterback was more.
He's not going to survive that.
Right.
He'll run it, but he can't survive that.
So
you think Sirianni's overrated or underrated?
I think it depends. I mean, on the National Football Show, I think he's underrated.
Okay.
On Birds 365, I think he's slightly overrated. In the big picture, I think he's probably properly rated. I mean, everybody acknowledges, like when I listen to national guys, people acknowledge the amount of winning that's done, but they also acknowledge the emotional deficiencies that Nick has shown. And I can acknowledge them easily, So I think he's a good coach. I think he's been great in Philly. I think he's pretty properly rated. Here on this show, though, he's drastically underrated.
Well, I would make this comment to you. I'll tell you what. And that organization, I think he's underrated. You know why? In that organization, how they see him, I think they underrate him. And I'll tell you why. Because, and you tell me if you think this is correct. When the winning happens, it's Howie. When the losing happens, that's Nick. That to me is that the coach will never get the credit. He'll always get the blame because the general manager is the face of your franchise.
And that's what yeah, you're right. That's what the organization wants. They love lightning rods. Put the blame on there.
Is that code for scapegoats?
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't that kind of consistent with the way they've managed
Yeah.
You know, even almost Nick has become a part of it too. You know, he's scapegoated people too.
Yeah,
He
but you know what?
scapegoated Brian Johnson.
Yeah, but you know what made Nick better than Doug? Doug's not going to allow that with Press Taylor.
Right. And that's why they moved on from Doug.
He's going to throw a guy under a bus for them. And that's why he keeps his job.
Which there's multiple ways to look at that, you know. Disloyal, or is he protecting his gig? You know, he's loyal to himself and his family.
My $16 million a year job.
Right.
That's
what you can understand for sure.
For sure. Last one here, dog. Does Jalen Hurts have the weapons on the team right now to run the Sean Mannion offense?
Yeah, I think he's got the weapons. I mean, I don't think they're the best set of weapons in the world, but I don't think it's all. I also don't think that their weapons. I also don't think that they're so bad that you're like, well, how can you win with this? I mean,
okay, so outside of Devontae Smith, what do you have?
You have Goddard.
Okay.
I mean, Wicks hasn't done a lot, but he is a player who's been in the NFL. You have Hollywood Brown, who's got, you know, you have Mekhi Lemon, who was a first-round pick. Now, I don't know if he'll pan out, but my point is, you know, I think this group is significantly better than Juju Smith-Schuster. You know? So, you know, you can prevail here. I think they made it harder on them, for sure. But I think it's good enough. I mean, look, I'm not building in an excuse in June, bro.
No. I'm asking you, do you believe that offensive personnel, because if Devontae Smith's not on that field, that looks very common to me. Does it you?
It's common with Devontae on the field.
Then what's it look like without him on the field?
It's not good. If he gets hurt, oh man. If he gets hurt, that would be worst case scenario, because then there will be no way to properly evaluate the quarterback.
So you go from A students a year ago, is that right, with AJ and Devontae, to C students in 25, right? 26.
Well, you still have an A student, but you got a bunch of C's after that.
The greatness of Johnny Wilson, right?
Well, they lost Johnny Wilson last year. That affected them bad. They couldn't run. They couldn't block in the run game.
So I want to ask you one more here. Brendan Sorsby.
Make it a good one. It's my last question for 2.5 weeks.
Let me tell you something, dude. I agree with you. I disagree with Jason. I think Jason had two. Listen, I don't disagree with Jason's place, because remember something. You know who the commissioner was when Jason Cole broke into the league, right? It was Pete Rozelle.
Right. Bro,
Pete Rozelle, gambling. Dude, if he saw what was going on in his league today with gambling, man, that I tell you, I've been in that guy's office, and that's not what that guy was about. And it is a different mentality. And I think everything has to evolve. I wonder if Rozelle would have evolved. I don't think he would have. However, do you think it's too much to overcome for the Eagles to put a 4th rounder up? I'll tell you something else.
No, I don't think that's too much. I would do it.
I'll tell you this too. I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas did it. The heir apparent to Dak.
I mean, I guess I could see it, because you always got to stay ahead of it. And Dak is what, 32? Is Dak 32? 31, 32?
I think he's either 31 or 32. And think this,
Dak to me has a skill set that I'm not worried about 32. Obviously, the problem with Dak is the up and down injuries.
That's the style of play.
He's had like 4 games played, 15. He's kind of had that seesaw type of career.
Yeah.
So in the last 5 years, it feels like. So that would be my concern with Dak. But like from a skill set, like the problem with Jalen is the skill set looks like there's a shelf life that's coming soon.
That's right.
When you can throw the ball from the pocket, you look at Aaron
Rodgers, in your 40s.
Look at Matthew Stafford, look at Brady, look at, you feel like these guys can play, till they're 35, 36, 37 years old. So, I mean, if I were Dallas, I wouldn't be looking to move on from Dak. And if he gets hurt again this year, then I think you have to have a real conversation about the inconsistency in terms of him being on the field.
Health.
Similar to how we do. Yeah, the health. Similar to how we do with any player that can't stay on the field. But from a football point of view, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with Dak as the quarterback.
But
if I were Dallas,
he's got a first-round grade. If the Cowboys can get that guy for a fourth-round pick and you sit that guy's ass on the bench for 2 years, like they did with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, why not have that guy in your building ready to go instead of looking for the next guy? You got him in your building.
Well, maybe they
and
do.
You only gave up a fifth-round choice for him.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they did it. I think almost any team, you could make an argument it would be not a bad move. If the player is thought to be a first-round talent or a second-round talent, and you can get him for a fourth or a fifth-round pick, I think anybody's going to see that value and think, well, what's the worst that happens? We lose a fourth-round pick. Okay. How many fourth-round picks do we give up? So I think there's a lot of. I think any team is liable, is possible here, and that's why I think it still could get jacked up to a day 2 pick. I don't think Jason had a bad take, but I did think it was slightly outdated, just from a sense of, dude, it's not that world anymore with gambling. I mean, these owners are all in bed with gambling. I mean, the dude who runs the Fanatics company, who's got a massive sports book, is taking all of the biggest NFL stars every year and bringing them to some shindig white party.
Hurts worked for him this offseason here.
Right. So it's a different world right now. But I don't know, dude. That was a lot of gambling that dude did. That was not like a couple bets.
Over a thousand.
Yeah, that dude is slinging. That dude is slinging bets, man. That was like me when I was a bookie in high school, and I was.
No, he was, dude. This guy, he's got a lot on the table there, man. Make no mistake about it. Junior, this is the last time you're going to be on the air at JAKIB Sports. A single dude.
Yeah, big weekend for me. Nerves are up there a little bit, but I'm feeling good. Got the
I'm going to tell you something
up today.
Tell that priest. I'm not repeating anything. I'm going, we're good. Repeat the thing.
Nah, I'm not doing that. But, all right, Stills. It's a good one, man, and I will I'll see you from the other side of the world. I'll be over in Italy.
I'll try to leave you alone.
Yeah, I don't want to get a text. I don't want shit. All right.
Hey,
I don't want shit.
Hey, God bless you, man. Listen, I love you so much, man. You know that. Okay?
I appreciate it, man. I love you too, and I'm looking forward to when I return. What you've concocted in the chamber on the Eagles all season. All right.
I'm going to put your maniac father on too during his segment too, so you guys get ready for that, because I know he's a Jalenite. So your pop Jalenite. Dog.
All right, brother. I will catch you later.
Man. Good luck to you and your fine bride, and God bless you, brother. I love you.
God bless. Thank you, Sills. Later, dude.
You got it. All right. That's Big Z. Boy, Brandon Sorsby, the new replacement for Jalen Hurts. Can you believe that? Or the new replacement for Dak Prescott. Could you believe that? So July 10th is going to be his pro day, and already reported all 32 teams will be with their big guns. A lot of general managers. Howie Roseman supposedly is going, and so is Stephen Jones going to that on July 10th. That would be around 14 days before the start of training camp. What do the boys have to think about their guys potentially having Brandon Sorsby in their building? Without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend who rattles all the Eagle Sabres in Philadelphia and in Eagle Land. He is my friend, the king of the shirts, Mark Holmes. Thank you. And one of the legends himself, one of the great lid wearers of all time, Eagle Man, Philly 500. The legend joins us now. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, man? How are you?
All good. So, Howie Roseman will be at the Pro Day there, Philly 500, for Brandon Sorsby. What do you make of that?
Wow. I mean, why shouldn't he be? I mean, if you're going to get a guy in the supplemental draft who's supposedly, and I don't know a lot about him, a first-round talent, I mean, I would think every team would be there interested in something like that, right? It's a value. It could be a value position. So it makes sense to me. Yeah, go.
How about you there, Biggin? What about getting Brandon Sorsby on the Dallas Cowboys? That's kind of a Jerry Jones move.
It could be, but you think about 9,000 bets he supposedly made. 9,000, including 40 on his own team. Now, to put that in perspective.
Wait, did he bet against his team, though?
We don't know, but here's the thing. When you say 9,000 bets over 3 years, that's 9 bets a day. 9 bets a day, and you're betting on your own team? Bro, you got a serious problem. I don't know how you get over that kind of addiction.
This is what I heard.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Hey, well, wait a minute. This is what I heard. So, like, if, say, Fernando Mendoza, Philly, had a line on him, 220 yards over or under, the majority of the time he'd bet the under. Then he'd be under 220.
Yeah, like it's tough. I mean, it's tough. I get it with the betting, when you're a player. But I always think of boxers, they do it all the time. Remember when they used to bet on themselves? Yeah. Bernard Hopkins versus Felix Trinidad bet on himself.
Buster Douglas. Buster Douglas.
Yeah, I mean, so, I don't know. But I guess when you're dealing with those prop bets, it could definitely be a problem. But, I mean, is this something like, is this kid not to be trusted now forever because of this? Or is this something like he has an addiction problem to it? Or is it just something that he learned from and can move on? I mean, when you make that kind of money that you're talking about in the NFL, what do you even need to gamble for? Like, I don't understand.
But he's making $4.1 million on his nil deal at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
He was making a couple million in Cincinnati.
Bro, it's an addiction, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever. It's just like you get the high from it and so on,
Yeah, I get it, yeah.
And, if you have to gamble that much, I don't think you can just walk away from that. You're always going to be,
might be a problem.
I mean, that could be a problem. And the NFL, in some regards to me, seems to have a bit of a gambling problem because, we've got some players and then some officials that have been caught up into it. And you've got fans that kind of question, was that game kind of thrown? And then you get a guy who is definitely not wanted right now. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing with the gambling in the NFL. Like, I do think it plays a big part. And I'm not saying the kid, what he did is justified. The NFL may be too scared to even mess with him, but you look at the referees and you look at some of these games like Mark is talking about. I forget. I was listening to one of these old Mafia guys, and they said they don't care about who wins the game. They control the point spread. The point spread is what matters. So when people say, well, the game's scripted and they care about who wins, they don't care about who wins. They control the point spread. And, I think it's always going to be an issue no matter what. So whether this kid will he even have the trust of NFL teams, to even be recruited? I don't know. I don't know enough about his situation to really speculate in a serious matter.
This is one of those things that how do you check up on it? I mean, at least with drugs, you can, do a P test. There's no P test for gambling.
It's the eyeball test.
Yeah.
Right? You got to sit there and you're going like,
I mean, what happens if
the guy has his interception? The guy has his first 3-pick game. Are you doing this? I mean,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying here? Hey, is your boy Pickens showing up to camp or not?
Bro, where have you been? Where have you been?
I'm talking training camp. I'm not talking this bullshit OTA.
Yes, he's showing up for training camp. Yes, he is. He's not holding it. Listen, he realized that there's no benefit for me holding out. There's no benefit. What do you think? Because he would sit out, that would make the Cowboys say, let's pay him more money next year. What he has to do is, and he's done the exact perfect thing. He showed up for minicamp. He said all the right things. He hasn't trashed the organization because, see, here's the bottom line here. And this is what Micah Parsons didn't get. Micah Parsons tried to throw Jerry Jones under the bus and act like he had some big cojones. Jerry Jones don't want to be embarrassed by anybody. Pickens, hey, I'm here to play football. I'm talking to my teammates. We want to try and win a Super Bowl. I'm going to let football play on the field justify, and I got people that handle that stuff. You know, Mike is out there.
Oh, that
Blue
guy
Bay-
in Houston who fucked that whole Parsons deal up, that's his agent?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think fucking deal up. Hey, you got $47 million.
Okay,
I
well,
will
guess
just
what?
fuck
How
up.
come I hear Parsons moaning about being a Packer and wishing he was a Cowboy still?
Yeah,
He was
well,
the Eagle.
you know what? Then you should have recognized that I need to go ahead and work with Jerry. Okay? Because guess what? Jerry Jones was there long before Micah Parsons, and he'll be there long after it. And they make money. You got a certain time frame that you can get shit done, and you got to get along to play along.
Do you know who's holding out right now?
Nobody
Guess
on
who's
the Cowboys. Oh,
Guess-
Jalen Carter?
Ooh,
Yeah. Jalen
He's
Carter.
holding-
he's holding out.
In.
Yeah,
Is that
I'll
what
tell
we're
you
calling?
why
Is that
he's
what
holding
we're
out.
calling this now? Hold
Wait.
out.
I'll tell you why he's holding out. You ready? So Drew Rosenhaus represents him, right? He's got this technique called a hold-in.
Yep.
Right.
Well, guess what they do? We show up because we want to get our money,
Oh,
but we
back is sore.
yeah,
Oh.
I'm not going through this and this and that. Do you
Oh,
know
God.
that they're pissed off because Jordan Davis got his money and he's a
Oh.
2-down player, not a 3-down guy?
I
Philly.
don't know that they're pissed off.
Hold
I
on,
don't know that
Philly,
they're pissed off.
Philly. Robert Bailey is the guy negotiating. He's a former teammate of mine. I had a conversation with the guy.
Mhm.
That 5th-year option they picked up, that didn't cut it because they want their money now. Do you believe that there'll be a problem come camp that Jalen Carter will be there in full participation? I don't believe that.
No, I don't think there'll be a problem at all. And I got to be honest with you, I don't mind if he's not doing drills and stuff because he's in the midst of contract discussion at OTAs. I do believe that he's going to get his extension, and I do think that the Eagles do have concerns about certain things. I think that's obvious. But I also think they really wanted to see how he came in this all season. How did he come in? Did he come in shape? Did he come in ready to go? And I think all those things are playing a factor. And once he comes in and proves it, I do think something will get done. But we'll see.
Wait a minute. Are we supposed to? Weren't you the same one that said AJ Brown was going nowhere? And so now you're saying that?
No, I said I would not trade AJ Brown.
No, you
I
said
don't
you
think
didn't
he
want
should
him to
anywhere.
go anywhere.
Right. I didn't want him to go anywhere. No.
I'm just
Mark has a way of
listen,
changing
that's why
the rules.
I didn't say you said.
That's because you confuse yourself with all your videos you do every
I'm just
day.
saying.
You're 90.
Every time you sign a player, he's going to be the greatest player since Joe Montana.
Mark, I've been to 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. How many have you been to?
Hey, how?
I rest my case.
Hey,
I
Philly
rest my
500.
case.
Philly 500. I got one for you. Don't you think maybe what the Eagles are watching right now, Mark? Don't you think what the Eagles are doing now? Let's see how he handles himself during this negotiation period and how kind of character he has and patience. If he's going to be an asshole, not show up, that's not something I really want to sit there and being invested in by some of the things that made them pause in the first place, right? If this guy shows up, he plays his ass off, he shows up to camp, and he's rocking and ready to play for the 26th season, could that not be a barometer too? And a little bit of a benchmark for them being able to look at it, seeing how he handles and decision-making during this time.
Absolutely. 1,000%. I agree.
And that's the case for George Pickens. Because, see, George Pickens, rightfully or wrongly, has this reputation that he is the worst player, on the face of the earth and stuff because of what happened in Pittsburgh. Him showing up and not holding in, because that's the last thing any player wants to be is franchise tag. That nobody wants because you got no guarantee. Pay me a big boatload of money, give me my guaranteed money so I can enjoy it this summer. But George Pickens, he came through, he said literally everything that's correct, how much he loved the organization, how I'm here about wanting to win. He showed up in shape. He's doing all the right things. You got Jalen Carter, who's coming off of a down year, who's now looking at holding, in. He's making the case for him not to get paid because you look and say, well, look, he had a down year and now he's having a hissy fit about not getting paid.
So Pickens has done everything right. Why didn't they give him the money? Why didn't he got an extension?
Actually,
Where's your extension?
Okay, hold on. Here. I'm going to say something that's conspiracy theorist thing. This is the best of both worlds for the Cowboys because you hear all they talk about Ryan Fennoy, right?
Yeah.
or third string quarterback. I mean, wide receiver. I think what they're actually looking at right now and what they want to do is roll the dice and find out, can he be their number 2 wide receiver? We've got George Pickens here in the mix. We know George Pickens, what he can do. But if Ryan Fenoy takes a step up there and he can become my number 2 and I don't pay George Pickens next year, I'm in great shape.
I got to show you guys a little something here. And Mark, would you consider Dak Prescott to be a volume passer?
He has to be with the Cowboys organization.
Okay, so he has to be. I want to show you something here. I'm going to go down this list here. Here it is. So I came up.
Bitch slap Philly.
I came up with this here. So do you know how many passes since 2022 Dak Prescott's thrown across the middle of the field?
Oh, shit. I can't count that high, man.
475.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many Jalen Hurts has thrown?
50.
99. Again, it gets better. Do you know how many Patrick Mahomes has?
Oh, shit. Probably 500.
1,500.
15. Damn. Okay.
Do you know how many Matthew Stafford has? 700. Do you know how much Jacoby Brissett has?
Jacoby Brissett.
450.
I think he's bitch slapping you there, Philly.
So wait. No. I'm gonna.
Not bitch slapping me at all.
Wait. My question
I know
is:
what you're talking about.
so all of a sudden, this zebra with this new offensive-minded coach is going to turn Jalen Hurts into this savant West Coast middle of the field passer when he's never
said he
done?
was going to? Who said he was going to turn him into that? Why do you assume that he's automatically going to go from full-time?
Because of what you've done.
I don't think that's the case at all. No, I think they're going to make adjustments to the offense, but I don't think you can go away from who Jalen Hurts is. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying he can't do it. I would say that a lot of the problems with things that they haven't done offensively hasn't been Jalen Hurts' fault. It's been the coaching staff that has not raised him to a higher level. I truly believe that.
That's a great comment, and I'm glad you went there. So you're telling me over the last 5 years, when they get into those offensive preparation meetings, like when Dak's talking to whomever, Jason Garrett, or he's talking to Mike McCarthy, or he's talking now to Brian Schottenheimer, you're telling me Nick Sirianni doesn't design, or anyone has ever designed plays across the middle of the field in a place where he goes like this: we're never going to attack the middle of the field. Nick Sirianni never proposed any plays because that's Nick Sirianni's fault that they never do that? Or is that the quarterback not wanting to do that?
Well, let me ask you this. When Jalen Hurts has to throw over the middle and done it, how effective has he been?
I'll give it to you. I have it. I have it to you.
Yeah, I want to know.
123.
Because I think it's pretty high. 123.7
to 77% completion percentage. Mark,
77%?
Okay, yeah. Well, I will ask you this then.
123 quarterback rating?
Yeah, and I will ask you this. Over this small
tell me.
Okay, I will. Over this small sample size here of 99 passes, why in God's name would you do something more that's working?
That's a coaching issue, Sills. That isn't a quarterback.
Again, you think Sirianni?
What are you talking about?
Okay, so Sirianni, in your opinion, over 5 years, never suggested they threaten the middle of the field ever because that's his fault, and he has no idea about throwing across the middle of the field.
No, I'm not saying that. Your statistics are saying that.
No,
your statistics that you just put up there are saying that.
His trends are saying that. That's right.
Done. They're saying I don't have to say that says it. 123 quarterback rating and a 77 completion percentage. Why did the coach? Why wouldn't you do it more? Why wouldn't you do it more?
Why wouldn't you?
That's a coaching issue, Sil.
Okay,
that isn't a player.
So when Kellen Moore, do you know how many passes he threw in 24 across the middle, Mark? 38.
Wow.
My question would be this then. You know what the easy land on for Eagle fans is? Well, they had a historic run game. Okay. Well, when that historic run game wasn't there in 25 and they needed them to, they didn't use it.
Well, I think once again it comes back to coaching, because if you look at the last year in the offensive coordinator last year and what they got from them, it was the most predictable, bland offense in the world. Anybody could figure that out. You had Jalen Hurts, among other players, talking about doing more. If you're going to talk about the historical run game and the first 4 games where he did have a lot of interceptions, I think that I don't think there was a big enough sample size him as a thrower because they went to the run game and it was so effective. But if you're going to tell me he has 123 quarterback rating and throws 77% and they didn't go to it more, I think that's an indictment on coaches.
They didn't go to it more because the coaches didn't game plan it.
Because
the coaches know the quarterback can't do it.
But what you showed us, that is not true. 77%. How can it be?
It is true.
You're telling me
he's had in 2,400 passes, Mark. He's had 90 passes across the middle of the field. And if he has if he has this high a rating, I was told when you do something well, you stick with it.
You're blaming Jalen Hurts for the coaches, because the coaches, that's their fault. If my quarterback's throwing 77% completion percentage,
wait a second,
and he's got 123 quarterback rate over the middle, I'm going to throw over the middle more.
Philly, are you under the impression when a quarterback coach and an offensive coordinator put a game plan together, they look at the quarterback and say, you're running these fucking plays no matter what? Or do you not think that they sit there with the quarterback and go, hey, man, what plays do you think will work in this football game? Hey, doesn't that work with Dak? Doesn't Dak go, I want these plays and want that play, I want this play? So you're telling me Hurts is the only quarterback in the league that is told what to do when it comes to game plan.
No, I'm not saying he's the only quarterback in the league. But if you look at the Eagles and their philosophy offensively, yes, I 1,000% believe that's exactly what they did. I think the reason why you saw so many of these players with long looks on their face at halftime when they were up was because the coaching staff was not listening to what the players said. Okay. They listened the year before. They didn't listen last year. And I'm sorry.
4%.
I believe that. Plus, not only that, but how many offensive coordinators has the guy had? We haven't had a consistent offensive coordinator long enough.
Jalen Hurts got any of these coordinators? Do you think Jalen Hurts got any of these coordinators fired?
No.
Okay.
No, I think they were bad picks. I think Petula was horrible, and I don't think it mattered who the quarterback was. The other guy, maybe there's something to it, but. I mean, based upon what you're saying and what statistics you're showing, I don't see how you can sit there and say that Jalen Hurts is incapable.
I want to know why you're not doing middle. I want to know why.
And I think that's a coaching issue. So, that's a coaching problem.
Mark, do you think offensive coordinator builds an offense to the skill set of the quarterback, or do you think he goes with his and what he thinks his game plan is going to go with and beating a team? Or do you build an offense around what a quarterback does well?
You build it with the quarterback, what they do well. If you're a smart coach, I mean, we had Matt Everfuss who literally tried to do a defense where you went away from everybody's strengths. So you look at it and say, maybe Jalen Hurts isn't great across the middle. He's better on the outside and spreading the field. No, I'm just saying, don't give me that.
You know what? It's such a small sample size that those numbers, in my opinion,
4%,
dog shit.
Right. So you just discount the numbers because you don't feel like there's enough. Then you can't. Then I can't win this conversation. What kind of conversation is this? No matter what I say. You're going to blame Jalen Hurts no matter what.
No. Here's the thing, though.
Dak Prescott makes 100 throws in 3 games.
Yeah, but
Dak Prescott is out of the first round of playoffs every year. I don't care what
the situation. Hold on.
He don't lose to you.
Hold on.
He loses everybody else.
Hang on. You don't know if those plays were designed to go into the middle or if it was that's the only thing that was given to him. And that makes a difference because more than likely having Devontae and having AJ, you'd rather throw on the outside and stuff. And so
but you also have Goddard. You have Goddard
across the middle, and that's where you're getting it basically about.
And if you look at this offense, there was never enough short passing game. I mean, you know how many passes completions he could have every game where he just takes the first 3-4 yards given because of the amount of the cornerbacks are off
How come
that
there
they
isn't a
don't
free
take.
game?
But that's
But
almost
see,
like malpractice.
but that's a coaching problem. To
He
me, that's
didn't
not
throw
the
screen-
quarterback.
He didn't have a screen game at Alabama. I mean, dude, why? So you're telling me, Philly, Philly, he doesn't have a screen game or an intermediate passing game, and that's on the coaches too.
No, what I'm saying to you is by the metrics that you shared show that when he hasn't asked to do something,
Which
he
is
can
seldom.
do it. So it's malpractice that the coaches wouldn't
Okay.
ask him to do it more. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying to you.
Okay, and I say this: less than 100 passes out of 2,400 attempts in 5 years.
That's
Something is either get this. You're right. It's either malpractice or the quarterback can't do it. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't understand what you showed us how he can't do
Well,
it.
because
So
Sean,
I'll assume the
you're
coaching
going-
staff.
you're going to a West Coast offense based on all the things that you have done. You even signed another wideout today or yesterday. I
You know what? Maybe
you're
the
looking
front
at
office.
all the things you're doing, okay, and all the
Okay.
moves you're making, and the coaches that you're hired, okay. That's all I'm saying. Mark, for you.
Maybe though, 1 second. Maybe the front office looked at it and said, why isn't the coaches that we've hired do these things? Let's get somebody in here that can. And that's why they brought him in, because they actually believe he can do what you're talking about.
And you're going to hire a guy who's never called plays to do that. Is that right?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Why not? He can't be worse than the guy last year.
Sure.
My kid could be better than coach
Oh,
last
okay.
year.
Who's playing left tackle in Dallas this year?
It's going to be Tyler Guyton. The way that Brian Schottenheimer put it out there that there was a competition to
Hobie better have a year this year.
he's going to need to, because this is really make or break year for him. We got Big Nate, who was a 7th round pick, who isn't bad, and they're switching reps, but in the end, it's got to be Tyler Guyton. He's going to get the opportunity.
Philly, on this one here, 2026. Do you agree or disagree with me here? I say this is Barkley's final season, and here's why. You're only owed him, if you cut him after this season in 27, $2.5 million. If you keep him, you're paying 14.5. We talk about Jalen Hurts this year having to have a big year.
Yeah.
Barkley also has to be in that conversation. Do you not agree? And for you,
I
what do you
think
think that
so,
big
yeah.
year? What do you think that big year looks like?
I think if he has over 1,400 yards, I think he's fine. I think he comes back. I don't think it'll be an issue. If he shows that wear and tear from 2 years ago and he doesn't have the same burst and he ain't really giving you that, then yeah, I could see a situation where you may look elsewhere. But if he goes out and gives you 1,400 yards and he's catching out of the backfield, no, I think he'll be back. I mean, 14 million, it's not that bad either. So yeah, I think it depends on the season. Just like I think it depends on with Hurts. I think the one great thing about this season is that we're going to be able to see who was at fault. Was it the coaching staff or was it Hurts? And that's the one thing I'm really looking forward to. My thing is I believe it's the coach, but we'll see. I mean, we'll find out at the end of the year.
I got to say this to you about your coach, Brian Schottenheimer, right now. Mark, Nick Sirianni gets a ton of shit, and I'm not a Sirianni guy, but in the last 4 years, he is 50-18. If Brian Schottenheimer doesn't deliver an NFC East championship, minimum, when does the coach in Dallas get on the hot seat when did the Dallas hot seat not become hot any longer with the head coach? I mean, this guy in Philadelphia, this guy lives on a stove. Every single year he lives on a stove. And in Dallas, it's like a free library hall pass.
Every year we always heard Mike McCarthy is on the hot seat. Now, I will say that expectations have changed dramatically for the Cowboys. getting George Pickens now all of a sudden inflates everybody's thinking that the Cowboys are going to be a really good team. And if they don't make the playoffs, or if they don't win the division, you almost have to say, you got to get rid of the coach. You've gone through, you've made changes. You've got one of the hot coordinators at defense. You've ended up going around and having in 2 first-round picks that you put on your defense. You've ended up going through in free agency and getting people. You didn't let any of your key starters go. You've been healthy this offseason. Yeah, the expectations are going to be there that you've got to prove that you're good, or you got to get out the way.
Yeah, I mean,
Dallas doesn't have hot seats. Let's face it. they don't hold themselves to the standards of.
Hold on.
Let's face it, dude.
Typically, what we're dealing with right now. Hold on.
Levels.
This is the first year that we have not had some kind of drama, whether it was Micah Parsons, whether it was Zach Martin, whether it is CeeDee Lamb, that we always have all these distractions. We typically, our best players are always going elsewhere. Well, this year they held on to all their guys. They've made moves to get Rashawn Gary. Of course, in the middle of the season, you get Quentin Williams in there. Of course, you got Kenny Clark. You put 2 first-round draft picks on the defense. You go out and you trade for a D. Williams. You end up getting, arguably, we'll have to wait and see how they actually play on the field. But, what most people think is a really good defensive coaching staff. The expectations are there that you got to do something. If you don't do something now.
Can I say something about the Cowboys here to you? Okay. And this is what I think they've lost over 30 years. They've lost the sense of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
And when Jimmy was there was a sense of urgency every day in that building. Yeah. Like there is in Philly. There's a sense of urgency in Philadelphia. Get this. They talk like they're a 5-win team. And they've won 50 games in 40 years. Or 50 games in 4 years.
True.
And guess what? You've lost that. The Cowboys have lost that sense of urgency.
Can't argue with you on that.
And they need to get that back, dude. That's why, these meandering, hot seats. Fuck that. Win. It's time to win, dude. It's time to win. It's got
time to win.
Cowboys have to win.
You're preaching to the choir, because if it were me, I would look at shut up, Philly. No, seriously, what you should be doing is, hey, look, we just gave a
He's
test.
bitch slapping you, Mark.
Okay, hold on. We just gave basically the biggest test you can for George Pickens. We put him out here and said, we're not going to negotiate a contract with you, okay? We're going to make you play on that franchise tag. He didn't blink. He's there. He's saying the right things. This is the time you say, you know what? Let's go ahead and get him a deal done. Let's go ahead and put our nuts out there, get a deal done. Instead of paying him $27.3 million, give him CeeDee Lamb's contract and get ourselves $18 million. Let's take that money. Let's take one of that other first-round pick, and let's go ahead and try and get somebody in here that can help us. Maybe we revisit the Max Crosby situation, but go through and do everything you can right now while everything looks good. Came in last year, and I told you, Dak Prescott, after having an injury, every year he plays lights out the next year. That's what should have been the time that you said, let's do everything we can to make this team and take advantage of it. But they don't. You are 100% right, and it's maddening, because right now they're probably doing a circle jerk, happy about what they've done so far and think that the job is done, but it's not.
I mean, yeah, you've got to get to that sense of urgency again, in my opinion, because I think that's where the Cowboys have totally lost it. This question is going to go to both of you here, because you're actually both in the same situation. I'm going to start it with Philly. So, Philly, Jeff McClain had an article. It was more like a love letter, as Angelo Cataldi said earlier. It was like a love letter today about how the kid's savant, and he's this and he's that, whatever. So, do you think the Philadelphia Eagles under Julian Laurie are going to be in the same position? And by the way, this doesn't seem anytime intimate, but you could see a transition starting to take place. For you in Philly, you think Howie Roseman would want to continue to work with Julian Laurie? And how do you think the organization would be when you take a look around the sports world? How do you think Jeannie Buss has run the Lakers, or Hal Steinbrenner has run the Yankees? You think the Eagles are going to be run the same way with Julian Laurie running that organization?
I mean, it's a giant question, Mark. I have no idea. Just because McClain did a nice article on him. You know, that doesn't tell me anything. The real question is whether Howie stays, because that's the key. You got to keep Howie Roseman. I mean, look, the Eagles, I believe, are a lot where they are because of Howie Roseman. So
agreed.
If he goes, then I have no idea. I would say let's get Howie a minority ownership. You know what I mean, with this team, because that would be the key. And I don't know. You just don't know how Howie's going to react to wanting his son to be the. I don't know. So it's a question mark that I can't answer right now. We have to wait and see.
Let me go with you here now on Stephen Jones taking over for one day for Jerry Jones. Do you think Stephen Jones elevates the team, or do you think, again, like Philly just said, I don't know how the Cowboys are going to be run, because quite frankly, over the last 30 years, it's been all about Jerry.
It has been. But here's the thing. With the cancer scare that happened, around 2018, 2019, they started putting in kind of the succession plan. And Stephen Jones has been taking on more and more of that role. And I dare say that you actually saw quite a bit of that this offseason. The fact that he ended up giving latitude to Brian Schottenheimer to go ahead and bring in who he deemed as the coaching staff and guys that are worked with, because that's not the typical Dallas Cowboy hire. Typically, the Cowboys are going to get somebody that they know who's a patsy to bring in. Christian Parker, I can't say that Jerry and Stephen Jones knew jack about him. That was Brian Schottenheimer. And when you looked at the draft, when you saw some of the clips and things of Stephen Jones telling people to shut the hell up, we're trying to make a trade here, it was Stephen Jones who was running it. Do I think Stephen Jones is going to be better than Jerry? I don't know, but I can say that he is delegating more than Jerry Jones has.
All right. Philly, what the hell are you laughing at?
Get his shirt.
Look at me. I'm the captain.
What a ridiculous shirt that is.
Is
What
that
a ridiculous shirt
that Christian
I've ever seen
Parker?
in my life.
Yes, it is. I'm the captain now.
Move that microphone.
me
So
I'm
everyone
the
can see it. Move that microphone for a second.
Look at me.
I'm the captain now. Okay, I got a great one for you, Mark.
Oh, shit. That's
Let's have
nutty.
some fun here for a second. Couple more, guys.
Okay.
You think that's a better year, Sean Mannion or Christian Parker?
Christian Parker.
I'm going to go with the guy who's not on a T-shirt right now. He's got he's got something to prove. All
Okay.
right? Dude, look at that. He's a captain now. The guy hasn't done anything. And then you come at me about Mannion. Look at this guy with his shirt on. Come on, man.
Money on it, Philly? Okay. We can be Swarby.
What?
Hey, we can be Swarby. We can put a bet on it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll put a bet on it. Of course. I'll take that any day of the week.
Mark,
Yeah, we'll come up with a bet.
last two here. All right.
Okay.
Hey, Philly, for you, is Nick Sirianni overrated or underrated?
I've been asking myself this because I go back and forth, but I'm gonna say it really depends on what we're talking about specifically that he does. But if I have to choose one, I'm gonna say overrated.
Ooh, wow. You're with Angelo and me. How about your boy, Brian Schottenheimer? Overrated or underrated?
I'm going to say really neither.
Can I use a word for Brian Schottenheimer?
Go ahead.
Oh, he's just perfect.
No, I'm not getting. No, I'm not saying he's perfect. I
Unassuming.
can't. He's what?
Unassuming. It's like, I think Jerry Jones cuts his gonads off so much, he's just a dude in a room.
I don't think so. I'll disagree with
Okay,
you.
what autonomy does that guy have? I ripped the shit out of Nick for not having a lot of autonomy on that team. What autonomy does Brian Schottenheimer have on that team? Play calling?
Play calling and also picking
Play
his
calling.
staff. Picking his staff, okay? Because that was Brian Schottenheimer who did all the interviews with Christian Parker, hired him, and then it was Christian Parker.
I saw Jerry at a press conference shitting on one of his hires.
Okay. Well, Jerry, you know what? Here's the thing with Jerry Jones. They let Jerry Jones go be Jerry. Just talk all your shit and everything that you want to, Jerry, but then they're over here doing the actual work. Okay? Jerry Jones is 83 years old. He's going to be shitting and saying all kinds of stupid shit. Right now, I think they got him locked in a broom closet because we haven't heard any stupid shit from him in a while.
Well, I got to tell you, here.
Sills, I got to say, though, with Nick, I said overrated, but I think it really, like I said, it depends on what we're talking about. Like, I think if we're talking about X and O's strategy, game calling, those kind of things, I think he's overrated. I think if you talk about keeping a locker room together, I mean, I don't know whether I should be giving him credit for the, holding this team together and winning a Super Bowl through all the drama or not. So, I mean, I can see how you can look at it and say, well, I mean, he held that locker room together with the A.J. Brown thing and everything going on, and he deserves credit in that situation. So, I think it just depends with him, really. I think if you get a good offensive coordinator and you put him around Nick, I think Nick as a head coach doing those things, I think he's fine.
What about this take care from this man, Uncle here? When Jalen was asked why he was training with Scott Loeffler, he said, I did that to have some continuity. Was that a shot at Howie and Nick? They fired the guy. They fired the guy.
It might have been a shot at the coaching staff, but I think it's more of just the circumstance of always having to change coordinators. It's like every year. So, I think he's desperate for some sort of continuity. I really do.
Mark, you still on 12 wins this year? 11 wins?
11 wins. I'm on 11.
What do you got, Philly?
13 wins, baby. Let's rock and roll. That's right.
There we go. 13 wins.
That's right.
We got 8 more bets we need to do. Are we putting money on that?
You think I'm going lower than the crap boys? No, the couch boys. No, 11 wins, baby.
Hey, gambling
they
is
go 11, I go 13.
No, bro.
Oh, yeah, I'm all for it. Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, Mark, you know what I want you to do? You
got the captain of the ship.
What's that?
Let me tell you, that's right. If you win the NFC East this year, Philly's got to wear that you're the captain now.
I'll wear it.
And vice versa.
Okay. I got no problem with that.
If the Eagles win the East, okay, you got to wear Philly 500 as the captain now.
Daddy.
In the history of the game of the NFL, how many fans have ever made a shirt on a new coordinator that hasn't done anything yet? I think Mark may go down as the first guy in the history of the NFL.
Everybody's
it's unbelievable.
Something.
The guy is a captain now, boy.
Oh man, where'd he come
and
from?
You come at me.
Chris,
and you come at me from Mannion.
Boys, you two are too good, man.
Congratulations to Zander on getting married. I just heard before I came on. So congratulations, man.
Did you take the Dak Prescott package over for him?
Good luck. Nah, he knows how to handle rings. I'm like that.
Yeah, man.
Enjoy
having your nuts in a vice there, bro.
Hey, welcome to the world, man. You're all good here.
Go make some babies. Make a lot of babies. That's my voice.
Guys, I appreciate you, and I love both of you.
Thank you.
Much coming on the program, and you guys coming on, giving your time up like this. It's always my favorite segment of the week. Thank you so much, guys. Make sure you check their great workout. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Philly 500. I appreciate you, guys, man. Absolutely great stuff. These guys are great, man. I appreciate those guys coming on with us here. So let me see here. Did we miss anything? Anybody say anything intelligent here? Nick isn't good for X's and I would say O's, but a great motivational, emotional manager of players. Are you freaking crazy? Emotional leader? I got us at 11 wins. Cowboys better win 11 or more. Hey, one thing I'll say about the Cowboys, and I said it again, it's freaking time, man. That organization has lost their ability to have accountability. Dude, I've told people this all the time. When you were in that building with Jimmy Johnson in Dallas, nothing was left just idle. That guy expected greatness every day when they were 1-15. You know what's crazy? When Jimmy was 1-15, he was no different than when they won the first Super Bowl in Dallas. He was the same guy. His demands are – do you know what he did? I'll tell you what he did. You know what he used to do every Tuesday? He'd bring in 20 guys for like workouts on Players' Day off, and everyone saw it when they went into workout. Cowboys got better the next year. He cut that number to 10. All of a sudden, they won 11 games in a Super Bowl. He cut it to 5. They won another Super Bowl. They cut it to 1. That's how he operated. That's how that's how that guy operated in Dallas. So the last 3 John Mackey Award winners, Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers, and Trey McBride. Do you believe Stowers can be as effective as those 3? Or is Hurts a factor in this development? I think the quarterback and the offensive coordinator will be a factor in that. Okay, remember something too. Tyler Warren, a lot of games from behind. Brock Bowers, they play every game from behind. McBride, they play every game from behind. You're going to get a lot of targets in those teams. When you're on a successful team, you're not going to get a shitload of targets. Unless you're a pass-happy team like the LA Rams. Looking forward to seeing Philly melt in his chair when Jalen Hurts throwing picks across the middle like the 4 interceptions Jalen threw across the middle against the Chargers last year. They did threaten the middle of the field last year, and he did throw a shitload of picks in that game. Who do you think will have a better rookie year? The Cowboys D coordinator or the Eagles OC? I think Dallas's corners are a little suspect. I think their middle linebacker is not all that hot. And I don't know I don't really know who Mannion is. You know, Parker's been a coach for a while. That's a hard one, man. Because I'm looking at the skill set and the talent on the team. See, I think the Eagle offense is overrated now. I think they're old. And you take Devontae Smith off that football team, that's not a skill set team. Without Devontae, your passing game is Dallas Goedert, Hollywood Brown, Elijah Moore, and a rookie. Okay. Eagles offense will start slow given the circumstances, and by December is when you'll see the vision clicking. What matters is we've worked out the kinks before the playoffs. That's not horrible. Don't expect to see our offense truly click until December. Well, one thing you got to remember, you never clicked last year in 17 ball games. That's fair? Okay. Both teams start slow, but the division will be up for grabs by the end of it. Eagles have a top 3 defense with Vic at the helm. I would agree. Since you keep asking the same stupid questions about creating Hurts' game plan and him picking plays. He's picking plays from a shitty playbook of plays. Nick's offense is trash. Really? Nick had the best success with Phillip Rivers in San Diego. I'll show you something here. When Nick was with Frank Wright, and let's see here. Let me go over here. Let's take a look how bad Nick was as the offensive assistant to Frank Wright when he was in San Diego. So let's take a look at Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni. Let's take a look at that. To get the right year, I want to make sure. When he was the quarterback coach and when he was the quarterback coach 14 and 15. Let's look at Phillip Rivers here. and what Phillip Rivers did in 14 and 15. Were they his career years? Let's see here. Phillip Rivers. Actually, I was in San Diego for that. I didn't even know he was on the team. Phillip Rivers. See what he did in 14 and 15 with Nick Sirianni as his coach. So in 2014, he threw for 4286. And in 15, was that his best year passing? Yes. He had a career year. 661 attempts and 437 completions, 30 touchdowns, and 4792. That's what Rivers did when he was the quarterback coach in San Diego with Phillip Rivers. I'm assuming he doesn't know what he's doing. Glad that bum out. Glad that bum out of the way. Now I could support my friends Sills and Zander again. How you doing? That's my boy there. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, Marsh. I do agree with you. As of right now, without Smitty, we may be in trouble. Yet to be seen. Yes, true. But I think we still need an X receiver. That's another question I had. Who wins wide receiver 3? Who wins wide receiver 3, you think? Dallas doesn't need the doomsday defense. They need a middle of the road. The Cowboys offense will carry them. I think that's true on both sides of the conversation with the Eagles. The Eagles don't need to have a top 10 offense. They need to have a top 15. They can't be down at the bottom of the list in passing like they've been the last 10 years. Or, excuse me, the last 5 years. They can't have a shitty passing attack like they have. I mean, they can't. Probably Wicks. Well, let me take a look at Wicks. So you're assuming then that Mekhi Lemon will be the number 2. So your wide receiving core is Devontae Smith, Mekhi Lemon, a rookie, and Dontavian Wicks. So here at Dontavian Wicks. So this is who Dontavian Wicks is. Let's see. 39 catches. 39 catches, 30 catches. 581, 415, 332. Okay. What's there to be excited about that? How am I excited about a guy with 30 catches? You better hope Lemon plays well and isn't hurt. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you're counting on a guy with 30 catches last year. Anyone's playbook will look shitty when the quarterback can't run 2/3 of the playbook. Technically, Goddard would probably be our number 2 receiver. And maybe Gunn, KG, maybe Barkley also a little more too in the pass game and throw into the backs more. Okay? Get this. You better hope the Eagles are half as bad as you imply. No. I didn't say no. I asked you. You're saying that. I said your 3 wide receivers are going to be Devontae Smith, a rookie, and Dontavian Wicks. And if you took that as bad as I'm implying, well, I didn't say that. You did. Both Dak and Lamar been choking in the playoffs with Super Bowl rosters. Dak has not had a Super Bowl roster in the last 3 years. He has, though, in the past. And Lamar definitely has to win. But we'll see. Still time. John Elway, again, let me see. How many years has Lamar Jackson been a starting quarterback in Baltimore? Lamar Jackson. a full-time starter. How many years has he been a full-time starter in Baltimore? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got to win. No question. No doubt. Let's see here. Hurts went to 2 Super Bowls. He will adjust like he always does. He's never adjusted in a passing game. That's such ridiculous takes. You think quarterbacks adjust to what? High volume of throwing? Good God. I love how you guys, without a doubt, like just give the benefit of the fact that a quarterback's going to change the entire way he throws the ball. If you notice, Green Bay's offense didn't have one dominant receiver. Yes, they did. Really? So this guy says that the Green Bay Packers don't have a dominant receiver. Will somebody please tell them who their dominant receiver is? Anybody know who their dominant receiver is? Anybody know who their dominant receiver is and who he's become? Their dominant receiver is Tucker Kraft because they throw and they do spread the ball out. But Love is a better quarterback in the pocket than Hurts. Twiz has essentially one more chance in the playoffs. If he is bad and they lose, then there's not much I can say. It's not just him that collapsed in the past. The Cowboys' whole team has underperformed. Hey, dude, you're dead on. Dak's got to play better, dude, when it matters. Sil's your honest opinion, will Hurts be an Eagle in 27? How much will he get annually with or without him out of Philly? I don't think there's going to be a ton of teams that are going to line up for Jalen Hurts. There'll be one team or two that will go out there and give him money, but I don't believe that there'll be a ton of teams that will want that skill set at 28, 29 years old. I don't believe that. I just don't. Seals, for as much as I agree with you that I don't think the middle of the field will be utilized much more than usual, but what I do believe will change is screens and running back passes in some degree. I could see that. I could. So what can the Eagles get for Hurts? A fourth? No. I think there'll be somebody give something for him. I think somebody will give a 1 for him. But outside of that, I mean, if Jalen Hurts went on the open market with that style of play, just like, let me ask you this, Hollywood. If no coordinator wanted to come here, what head football coach would want that as their starting quarterback with that skill set? None. You think Sean McVay would bring that in? Do you think that Andy Reid would coach that style of quarterback? When has he ever? Name me a great coordinator in the game. You think Kyle Shanahan's coaching that? Shit, no. Not coaching that. Sills, I don't think Hurts would have been an Eagle past 22 without Shane Steichen. It's a great take. Look, I said this in 2021 when Joe Krause hired me. This window is not going to be that long. None of these dual threat guys that can't throw from the pocket with consistency don't have long windows. They just don't. Still, yeah, okay, I had to take a drug machine and tackling sled for Hurts. You can get the picks, just get them off my team. Listen, you're not getting rid of Jalen Hurts for just some small. That's like when they moved off of Tebow in Denver, they brought Peyton Manning in. Okay. That window's shut. Lamar puts up the points. Hurts was terrible on third down. Worst team in the league last year on third down. Yeah, okay. I take the, let's see here. Lamar definitely enticing. Don't get me wrong, but I just had this debate with my cousin about if Kennard would have won a Super Bowl with the same roster Hurts has. I don't know. I don't know. Because John Harbaugh and the coaches that he had around him, I mean, dude, he had Todd Monken around him, who was very good. And I forget the other guy. I don't think it was Clyde Christensen, but he had another guy in there that was also good. So I think the first year they won the MVP, I can't remember if that was Clyde Christensen. That was his offensive coordinator. Carson Wentz got us a first, and we had a worse career than Hurts by far. There's no way we couldn't get a first and something else for him, like a 1 and a 5 isn't that far out of the question. Maybe. If he has another shitty year, you're not. Be 3 years in a row. Fact, Sills. Bias take. It's not a fortune. It's not a fortune. Lamar would have won here if Hurts and Lamar traded places in 21. I don't know, because I do think that the guy in the postseason, Lamar, I think he overthinks the game. This is actually true. Wentz actually had a really good year for it to be a first round. He had 27 touchdowns and 6 picks and threw for 3,700 yards. He didn't have a bad year. Hurts is going to have another bad year, I have no doubt. Lost AJ and is another year slower. It all depends on the run game. Absolutely true. Let's see here. Let's see. Wentz was a conditional one. He had a good year with Indy. That's right. You ended up getting a first. Let's see. Hurts entering his prime, and that's why they're trying to get rid of him. Lamar does seem to overthink in the playoffs. But in 24, listen, he's going to have to do better, my friend. Shields, I meant to ask you, the San Francisco Giants with the pride hats, I would sue the shit out of Major League Baseball. I think that whole thing is dumb as shit. I think both sides have a right to their opinion and their stance. You want to wear the freaking hat? Wear it. You don't. Baseball shouldn't be mandating you wear something if you don't believe in it. Why do I have to change myself to make your stupid ass seem better and feel better about your life? I hate those people. I'm not changing myself for you. Dude, in my world, you're a nobody. I worry about my own sandbox, not your sandbox. Don't worry about my sandbox. Shit I do at home or the shit I want to do somewhere else, that's none of your business. I hate people who go down that lane. You have no right to tell me shit about how I live my life. What the hell are you? You don't run my world. Dude, bad enough you have to listen to bosses. You think you're going to run my fucking house? You're out of your mind. Lamar is a strange case. He has the tools to win it all, but is it more mental, do you think so? I just think at times he just seemingly overthinks it. I really do. I mean, and by the way, one year it's 41 attempts, the next year it's 38 attempts. And I'm like, why? You have Derrick Henry in the building. Why? You know? You have Derrick Henry in the building. Makes no sense. Sills, people forget that during the Tebow season, Denver's defense was playing lights out, but former players said that Tebow's style of play wouldn't be sustainable during the playoffs. And that's why they went and made the move for going and getting Peyton Manning. Yeah. Tebow was never going to be the call there. And again, that was really one of the things that hurt Josh McDaniel with his time there in Denver. It was a terrible pick. I think he went 25 overall. Tebow is one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time. Seals, if you were to ask Hurts if he was a good pocket passer, what do you think he would say? I think he'd blame it on the fact that the coaches didn't skill him enough to be a great pocket passer. As a matter of fact, in his entire career, Hurts has never been a great pocket passer. Okay? Look, I always love these guys. Sills hates gays because I don't want to wear a hat. I don't give a shit if you're gay or not, guy. More people should love more people in the world. It's just not, it doesn't have any effect on me. I hate gays. That's the shit you see on the internet all the time with people saying that shit. It's wild. Because my religion or your religion is different thinking. You automatically hate somebody. Man, some people, and Bruce, I hope you're kidding because that's a bat take. Gay? My cousin was gay, died of AIDS. What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, my aunt's in here. I'm sorry I said that, Betty. Are you stupid? And I loved my cousin. I'm sure he was great. No company or entity should force you to wear anything against your beliefs. Yeah, I agree. Sills, isn't that also a quarterback autonomy issue with Lamar? You okay? There's audibles he can lean into running plays. We'll see. Cowboys have had top 10 defenses, top 10 offenses, and couldn't get anywhere in the playoffs. I didn't say he didn't step up in the playoffs. Two things can be true. Okay? Two things can be true, dude. They can. Yeah. Oh, my friends. Jerry, 99.9% of the people in here are awesome folks. And my aunt knows that. We're all good. It's just people come in here like they do on my old radio shows and all that. And they think it bugs us, and it never really did. And we don't care. More power to them. Yeah, right? Hey, Seg. See these folks? Bet. Don't give them a time of day. It's all good, honey. In my opinion, Peyton should have won at least 2 Super Bowls. In my opinion, dude, Peyton should have won Super Bowls in Indianapolis. Seals, I learned years ago, people who make stupid comments like that can't look at themselves in the mirror. No worries, bro. Just keep up and keep moving. I got you, man. We're good. Says it's up to the player to evolve. Kellen Moore has had his quarterbacks throw across the middle except Jalen Hurts. Don't put it on the coaches, yet they always do. It's pretty simple. Teams only extend or restructure contracts for players they see in their long-term plans, which is the reason why Jason hasn't been offered one, and his agent is very aware. I think you mean Jalen. Correct. Let's see here. Hold on for a sec. Okay. Get Dak at defense. Dallas can do damage. Just needs to play smart ball. I think they need a better run game. Okay? I think they need a better run game, the Cowboys. That's what I would say. They need to have a better run game. So 49ers are back inquiring about Max. Bosa on one side and Max on the other. I'm just happy we are not with one quarterback injury. Our season is done scenario. No, actually, okay. Run game has been good in Dallas. A couple years under Dak. Yeah, it has been, but it needs to be better. Dude, like I said, the Philadelphia Eagles won a Super Bowl. And they won a Super Bowl with a historic run game and a historically bad passing game in 24. Think about that. You won with a historically bad passing game in 24, with a historically awful passing game and a great historic run game. Put that in context. You were 29th in passing and second in rushing that year. Talk about swings. And get this, your offense was 8th, and your quarterback in the throwing game was almost last. Cowboys need a first-round talent quarterback. They've been living on overachieving late-round pick guys that have had great rosters around them. Well, Tony Romo and him, absolutely. Okay? Look at this. This is always the great excuse. It's almost like you don't need to pass when you run game. You got is legendary. Yeah, but when your run game is not legendary, you can't pass. He makes the point. Right there, he made the point. He's right. You don't have to pass when you have a legendary run game. But when you do have to pass, you have a horrible passing game. And you're still last. Reyes is right. He is right. When you have to pass, you lose. If your run game's not good. And remember what we've showed you. Okay? Get this. And this is why they've changed everything. Why didn't they stay with it? It's so wonderful. He makes the point. They won the Super Bowl with a historic run game. But when they don't have a historic run game, they blow out loud throwing the ball. Yeah. So which team is in the hot seat more? Lions, Niners, or Cowboys? Great question. Dude, you know who else has got to win? Kyle Shanahan's got to win. As much as Hurts' future is in doubt, the whole season hinges on Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson's health. And Barkley. Sills, let's be real. This team is not about the quarterback, running back, or wide receivers. It's about the O-line, and the O-line was atrocious last year because they were banged up all year. The year relies on the offensive line. Get this. Miles wasn't historic. Let's take a look at that. Let's see if this guy's right. Let's take a look at this. All-time leading rushing seasons in Eagle history. Let's see here. And go down the list here. Let's see here. All time. There we go. Single season. So Miles Sanders had the 10th greatest rushing season in Eagle history, behind only Waters, McCoy, Westbrook, Montgomery, and Barkley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th player with the best rushing yards in Eagle history. Had how many yards did he have that year? He had 1269 that year. And he had 350, 1,700 total yards that year. Wow. And by the way, the quarterback ran for 800 yards that year. And by the way, that did come down to the offensive line. Still, Kyle Shanahan has a history of making questionable decisions, bad clock management, just like his buddy in L.A., Sean McVay. Refuses to run the ball during the fourth quarter while holding a lead. Good luck. That happened to the Rams this past year. Sanders was a double agent for us last year. Week 1 versus the Eagles, we had a crucial red zone fumble. You should have swept the Eagles last year. It is so delusional to think that this is the year Hurts is going to prove it with AJ gone because of what? Mannion? Makes no sense. I'll eat my crow. Curtis, don't put this out there like that because that's actually the facts. You're going to have a better turnaround season and the quarterback's going to be better throwing across the middle of the field. And all of this is going to happen without AJ Brown and a first-time play caller. Good luck. That's why I'm saying 8 wins. Stills, love your stories. 1981 Adidas All-American. Tell me about playing with Wilbur Marshall. Dude, Wilbur is one of the greatest linebackers in college football history. Okay? Wasn't historic. It's a great year, but historic for a running back is saved 1,500 yards. Well, that year you guys went over 2,000 yards combined with the quarterback and with – you basically had the same year rushing that you had in 24. Here, I'll prove it to you. 1269. How many touchdowns did he have, too? How many touchdowns did he have? Okay. I'll prove it to you what you guys did. He had 11. Let's go here with Jalen Hurts. How many rushing yards and touchdowns did he have that year in 22? Jalen Hurts. You did have a historic run game. Prove it to you right here. Hurts, 22, 760. And 13 rushing touchdowns. That's 24. It's 9, 12. That's 2,029 rushing yards. Let's take a look. 24 right here. Hurts had in 24, 630. And I think it was 205. So 3, 6. You had 2635 in the regular season. And you had 2,029. And by the way, you didn't have as many touchdowns that season. You had 24 touchdowns in the 22 season. And you had, how many touchdowns did he have in 24? he had 14. And I think Barkley had how many? Let's take a look. Barkley had 13. So he had 27. So here, you had 26, 35, and 27 touchdowns, and 24. In the 22, you had 2,029 rushing yards and 24 touchdowns. You were over 2,000 yards rushing. Both years you went to the Super Bowl. That's historic, dog. And people forget decision-making and not running the ball over will always be a quarterback's biggest attribute. Correct. Correct. Okay. I am. Let's see here. Got to get away from the spamming as soon as we do. Appreciate you guys very much. Thank you. See here. There we go. Right? Seals doesn't think Jalen could throw the ball next year. How did we do when he had to throw the ball against the number 1 ranked secondary at the time against the Vikings? How Hurts do? How did Hurts do against that number 4 ranked Charger defense? He looked like piss. If you can't move the football like we couldn't in 2025, who effing cares that you don't turn it over? How many times do you have to punt for it to be just as bad as a turnover? Amen. They were 31st in turnover, or 31st in 3 and outs last year. He played great in one game where they totally changed the offense. Again, appreciate you guys. Hang on for the spamming here. We'll get past you here. Definitely do it. Thank you, guys. Let's see here. We'll go up here. And people forget decision-making and not turning the ball over will always be the quarterback's biggest attribute. True. Okay? I don't think they totally changed the offense either. He had 1269, 4.9 yards a carry, 9 touchdowns, and 1 fumble. That's very good. Hold on. He had 13 touchdowns. He had 11 touchdowns. I just looked it up. Miles Sanders had 11 touchdown runs that year, 1269. He didn't have 9. He had 11. Okay? Yeah, and Jalen ran the shit out of the ball that year and also was at 4 yards a carry. As a matter of fact, hey, Coyote, I'll bet you this. I'll bet you it's pretty close that the yards per carry that season in 20. Let me see that. What did the Eagles average yards per carry in 22? What did the Eagles average in yards per carry per game in 22? What did they average? They averaged 147 yards. What did they average per carry that season? What was their average yards rushing? Here it is, rushing. In 2022, Eagles rushing. They averaged rushing yards. They had 2,500 yards rushing in 2022, total as a team. They had 2,500 yards rushing. Whew. And they averaged 4.6. 4.6. See what they did in 2024. I know they were over 5, I mean. So let's see here. They average 4.9 that year as a team in 2024. You average 4.6 in 22 and 4.9 in 24. You're basically, and what did you have rushing as a team? You had $3,000. You had 25.75 that year. Yeah. And you averaged 4.9. 0.3. Theoretically, it was the same yards per carry that you had in 22 because Hurts ran the ball in 22. Think about that. 4.6 in 22, 4.9 in 24. Okay? I mean, both teams ran the football effectively. And the quarterback was the main reason that you ran the ball effectively that year. Miles was simply a product of the environment. All the stats you're spewing, it's not spat. Dude, those stats got you to the Super Bowl. Bro, stop dismissing something that was a great year for you. You ran the ball at 4.6 a clip. The fuck you talking about? Seals, do you think Hurts' injury in the Bears game is why Hurts doesn't run as much? Now, it feels like since then, the RPO has changed. Maybe a little bit. The shit you won't say is that Allen, Burrow, and Herbert would trade career stats with Jalen Hurts. I'll tell you one thing you will never hear them say. They would change their abilities with Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I doubt it. It'd be like saying Dan Marino would change his he would change his ability in his Hall of Fame jacket for Bob Greasy's. Okay. And that's why A.J. Brown left. Okay. Let me do something here with Morgan & Morgan, my friends. I got to do it. My great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason. That is because they win. Over $30 billion recovered. I tell you about the family in Pennsylvania all the time. $650K they were initially offered. They got nearly $30 million in settlement. Or the family down in Florida that was initially offered $350,000. They got nearly $12 million in settlement. Folks, do me a favor. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sale sent you. Okay. I guess we're still here. All right. Supposed to go to commercial, but we're all good. They can bring up those quarterback passing stats all they want. Those passing teams don't go our winning resume. So what do I care? Well, Philadelphia. At the end of the time, this is what you're doing in the offseason here. Okay? This is what you're doing here. I mean, that's what you're doing. If you don't hate Josh Allen, you're a fake Eagle fan. All Jalenites hate Josh Allen. I know they do. They hate Josh Allen because Josh Allen is one of the great players in the game today. Seals, you don't get tired of debating Hurts to these Smurfs? No, because that's the big debate going on now. What's he going to do? Hoss, Bruce, here's the beautiful thing about all this. someone's going to be wrong at the end of the year. It might be me. It might be me. He might get this new contract extension. He ain't getting it now. And they're not working on one. He may get one. I mean, he just may get one. But again, you've got 36 days until the start of training camp. 36 days. And you're not practicing. And you had 5 days of camp to install some of this stuff. So now you got to go to training camp, and you've got 12 days of training camp to go with 2-a-days to try to install this stuff for the start of the season on September 9th. I don't believe you can. I mean, I just don't. Eli, 2 rings, 2-0. And how many people think that Eli Manning is a generational player? I mean, how many people actually think that he's a generational guy? Look, I think your defense is going to be a great defensive football team this year. I really do. All right, guys, hey, listen. Zander told us tomorrow we're doing 2 hours tomorrow, so we appreciate you. Thank you so much again. So we'll see you tomorrow. And do me a favor, hit that like button, and we will catch you on the flip side.